The Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance is out of recess and back in record. At this time, Senator Frederick, you may conclude or wrap up your questioning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Ms. Farrington, if you would, please tell me what you were able to come up with. 91 in general fund.
The mic, please. Mic 3. Go ahead.
Claudette Farrington. For general fund, there are 91 positions total, of which 10 of those positions are vacant. And our information is consistent with the post-auditor's analysis. So we're on the same page here. It's 91 and 10 are vacant.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Senator Frederick. At this time, the chair will recognize Senator Angel Bolquez. You're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to the, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Central staff. Good afternoon to the listening and viewing audience. And good afternoon to the Lieutenant Governor's Office and its division's leadership team. For fiscal year 2025, it looks like you've nearly about 45% of your appropriation remains either unallotted or unobligated. And I wanted to know what contributes, in short, what contributed to that underutilization of those funds. I asked the question because there's a lot of maintenance to be done, AC repair, elevator, and other issues at hand. And I'm curious to know, with money that's available, what's slowing down the process? Is it the procurement process? Is it the unavailability of funds? What is it exactly?
Good afternoon, Senator Claudette Farrington. When it comes to the general fund, the monies are basically for personnel services and fringe. So it has to do with the positions that are available, and we do have plans for the funds in terms of the positions we're looking forward to going forward in 2026. So we're going to be creating, for example, we have the 3 real property tax appraiser 1 positions. We would like to create some additional positions on St. Thomas, St. John, the district here. Because of retirement, that division was more or less, I don't want to use the word crippled, but we were able to add 3, and we have additional persons that have been interviewed, and we can create those positions with those funding to try to bring people on board again now, if we know that going forward in 2026, the funding will be there to address them.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. When it comes to real property tax in that division, I see that you inspected 883 properties, but I believe the inventory is well above 60,000 parcels. What is the office doing to improve that assessment coverage to ensure up-to-date property records?
Ludens Ramney, tax assessor. That's one of the areas that I alluded to, that we are short-staffed, and that contributes to that. So we were without basically any appraisers for a little while. We have 3, and in the short time that they have been here, they've made an impact on that in assessing properties that had escaped recognition of improvements made to those properties. So having additional appraisers will assist us in making room for that. And we alluded to that about with the mass appraisal also, that we need to have all the appraisers in place, because, and that's, we shouldn't even think of that as an expense, we should think of that as an investment, because as we are able to appraise the properties that exist with the improvements, then there is more money for the tax collector to collect to take care of our needs in the government and in the community.
Duly noted. Concerning your NAIC standards and your obligation to oversee the banking and insurance divisions and conducting examinations and audits of insurance companies, you have a backlog in that area as well. What's being done to speed up that process?
Attorney Matthew.
Good afternoon, Glendina Matthew, Division of Banking, Insurance and Financial Regulations. The backlog that we have is in the financial services area. Every entity that we regulate, most of them have a component where we're supposed to review each financial statements on a quarterly basis. So what we have been doing, because we don't have sufficient staffing, we have made sure all the active companies doing business in the territory, whether mortgage lenders, insurance, we're doing those reviews, but ultimately we would have like to be able to review all companies that are doing any type of business in the territory.
Okay, very well. And before my time expires, I wanted to put on the record, as you are responsible for overseeing these companies, particularly, we have holidays here in the Philippines. We have Emancipation Day and we have the Hamilton-Jackson Day. I became aware that regarding a specific bank, which I will not put on the record right now, but apparently that bank does not let its employees, it doesn't close on that day, and it does not provide holiday pay for those employees. I see the matter as a labor equity issue and a cultural respect issue. You know, the Hamilton-Jackson Day, Emancipation Day are very important holidays here in the Virgin Islands.
30 seconds.
I wanted you all to know that I also wrote a letter to the Division of Banking and Insurance, taken to earlier in July this month, to request an inquiry on the matter. I haven't received a response. But what regulatory authority or influence do you have in that division to ensure that these financial institutions operating in the territory honor these legally established holidays by law?
Good afternoon, Glendina Matthew, Division of Banking, Insurance and Financial Regulations. We are in receipt of your inquiry, and I did respond and indicate we will be bringing it before the board. I think there may be some misunderstanding as to what the other banks are also doing, because we did some review as to what the other banks are doing, particular to certain holidays, but nevertheless, the banking board, it will be brought to the banking board's attention.
I would truly appreciate that, and I thank you again for all of that the Lieutenant Governor Office does. You work very hard. Your collections are great. They could be greater, but I appreciate each and every one of you and the efforts. And Mr. Chair, thank you so much for the leniency.
Thank you very much, Senator Angel Volquez Jr. Acting Chief of Staff Harrigan, how is the morale at LGO?
Well, Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. Morale could always be better everywhere. What I will say is that one of the issues would be the workplace environments. Recorder of Deeds is an example. The mold count was high, and that adversely affected morale. And by moving them to a safe workplace, that indeed helped. I was very intentional about mentioning every employee at the Office of the Lieutenant Governor in my testimony to let them know that they are important and they are appreciated and that they are valued by the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. So that is also an environment that I am trying to create as well and reinforce.
Is there any other initiative that's been undertaken again to improve morale or bring employees together throughout the LGO?
Yes. Well, as you know, I've been doing this maybe 2 months, but we are talking about meeting and coming up with ideas about doing some employee bonding and activities. So we did meet yesterday and discuss a couple, but we will be bringing them to fruition. And also, there's been a lot more interaction with the employees, also with management, which is also helping in hearing the employees' concerns and issues. So, you know, as you stated, we're the second largest revenue maker in the government, and we spend a lot of time, at least 8 hours a day, together, and we want to make sure our employees are happy, and we're going to take steps to bring that to fruition.
Excellent. What about the cadastral office? Is there any intent to hire additional individuals within the cadastral office?
There is. We do have a newer employee in the cadastral division, but for succession planning, we are definitely looking into prospective employees.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your response there. Senator Maurice James, you're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Virgin Islands. Good morning, testifiers. Thank you for being here. Good morning, colleagues. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon, staff, everyone in and outside the room. I am going to advocate for the Lieutenant Governor's office today because I so agree with my colleague who spoke about the timeshares and the other issues and almost everything that he spoke about, because as a new member of the Finance Committee, I too am now becoming aware of the salaries within the government as a whole, something I did not know before. And that's one of the benefits of being on the Finance Committee. And it really is unfortunate that the position of Lieutenant Governor, which is an elected position, gets caught up in the controversy of compensation. Because in the last 2 months, I have sat here and seen where other agency heads are making 175, 200, 250, 300 and above. And because of how crazy, I mean, madness we have with this compensation, we're not realizing that an agency like this, that is the second highest generating revenue agency, has employees that are always working, because if they're collecting all this money, they're always working. Think about it. And I'll focus, for example, on one group, because I am an attorney, so I'll focus on the attorneys. I have seen in the last few months where attorneys in other agencies are making upwards of 200,000. Now, if you have an agency head like the lieutenant governor making only 125,000, it is difficult for the attorneys who are working extremely hard, and I'm saying attorneys only as an example. They won't be able to make more than the 125 unless the lieutenant governor consolidates, for example, Attorney Harrigan, the young attorney, and I like all the attorneys in the Lieutenant Governor's office, by the way. I need to say that. I really love your professionalism, but here she is occupying two positions, Chief of Staff and Legal Counsel. I don't know what her salary is, but it probably isn't combined, but if it is, it's deserving, right? That's the problem we have with what's going on in this territory with paying the right salary for performance. A high-performing agency like the Lieutenant Governor's Office, where you are seeing the Division of Banking had a 9% increase over fiscal year 2024 in its revenue collections. The Division of Corporations and Trademarks, 9.77% over fiscal year 2024. Passport, they also saw an increase in their collections. I could go through every single one of these divisions. And then we have vacancies that really, if filled, would cause us to collect even more money, like the appraisers. My colleague just now from St. John pointed out that only 883 properties are inspected, and yet it's over 60,000 parcels in the territory. That's not even 1%. I can't even, I'm not Neville to figure out quickly the math, right? But that is ridiculous. So I want to ask this. So I am advocating for higher salaries for everybody in the Lieutenant Governor's office, including the Lieutenant Governor. I will say that right now on the floor, because the other employees cannot, if you think about it, their salaries cannot increase unless his increases. Everybody needs to understand that. We're being foolish in this government in terms of compensation, especially when it comes to a high-performing group of people. My only disappointment is that you have not moved
1 minute
in the First Bank building. And I don't like answers like soon as possible, soon, when no date is really given when it comes to contracts like construction contracts and real property contracts. When you enter, if you're soliciting for specifications, if you're any type of renovation, rehabilitation, there should be some agreement that tells me when something is going to be delivered. So I have an issue with that's the biggest disappointment for me today, because these employees have stayed in that building for so many years and again making so little money. The only question I have really is, I would love us to solve the appraiser problem. We saw that you got appraisers on the island of St. Thomas. Did you get any additional on the island of St. Croix? And my questions are all about the appraisers. How do you train your appraisers? And is there any coordination with the University of the Virgin Islands so that we can get young Virgin Islanders in these positions, making more than really what's listed there, by the way? How can we do that? We need to unite so that we don't have only 883 properties inspected. People are building on this island. I'm not as familiar with St. Thomas and St. John, but I see people building all over the island of St. Croix. And also with respect to appraisers, I have another question, which is there any coordination with the Department of Planning and Natural Resources so that when building is happening in terms of issuance of permits, that your office is advised or informed of that? Mr. Chairman, thank you. I heard my time is called and I don't want to abuse it. But This particular agency, as you know, is dear to my heart because I've worked with them for so long. And I have seen, and by the way, one more thing. You lost an employee in the recorder of deeds because, again, of the low salary. I know that personally because I know the young lady and I know her qualifications, and she was stolen by a title company. This is going to happen when we don't pay people what they're worth. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all, but I love your agency, but we need to find a way to increase your revenues even more than the 9% that we've been seeing, because think of how much has been escaping. And I'm glad my colleague raised the issue about the timeshares and provided me with information. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Maurice James. Anyone from the team want to respond to the concerns raised about the appraisals?
Lawrence Romney, tax assessor. Right now in St. Croix, there are 5 appraisers. We only have 3 in St. Thomas, and so we're trying to bring on more here. But in the long run, we actually have a projection for more than those 10. We need. Should I say about how much we need right now? To be honest, we need about 20 to do what we need to do, because when we get into full gear to do the mass appraisal and so on, we need that kind of counting among our appraisers to be able to cover the properties that need to be covered. And that's what I'm saying. It's an investment, because then we are able to bring in revenues that is lying dormant because we don't have enough people to go out and appraise the properties for them to have the correct value on the books to bring in the revenues to the government.
Thank you very much for that, and I'm hoping that we could really ramp it up. The issue is also that appraisals are very difficult to come by. I know that we made some modification recently through legislation to allow for some apprenticeship and train up to address that shortage. I wanted to move on. Go ahead.
Senator James also mentioned about that. So can I?
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Right now, the new appraisers that came on board, they are required to have certain certifications. So there are courses through the International Association of Appraising Officers that they will have to take, one, to maintain their employment, as well as to advance to another level. Right now, they are appraiser 1, but we have positions for appraiser 2, appraiser 3, and supervising appraiser. And so my colleague alluded to the issue of changing the job specs when we were bringing them on. So through the assistance of Division of Personnel, we've changed the job specifications so that there is growth among the appraisers as they walk along. So they're not in a dead-end position when they come in. Also, we're thinking in terms of, yes, some apprenticeship and even some outreach to educate the public as to what appraisers do, because there are folks who have seen the new appraisers here and they are actually wanting to know if they can do that kind of job because they see them out in the field. And so we have some plans to strengthen those things.
Excellent. Real quickly, I wanted to move on to another issue. We moved legislation sometime back, Act 8542, which spoke to the remote notaries and also increased the fees for notary. Up to this day, a notary could only charge $5 in some instances for documents to be notarized. I know with that legislation, it was increased somewhat, and then the Lieutenant Governor had issued a stay. While there was some consideration given to the increase in the fee, that since 2022, I just wanted to ask if there have been any conversation in respect to, again, moving that legislation in place and allowing for the notaries to be able to increase the cost for notary.
Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. There have been discussions, but an official formal decision has not been made. So, but I will bring it to the Lieutenant Governor's attention.
Very well, thank you. Senator Blighty, recognize your point of information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Robney, in respect to appraisers, because I know it's a unique trade and we are very short when it comes to appraiser. You say you want to get at least 20. Do you have a plan in terms of ramping up to get to the 20? Number two, I know it's summer, you had summer interns. You should have brought in interns for that, that in that office. Did you do that? And what's the plan moving forward in terms of ramping up? You're not going to get 21 time, but do you have a plan to ramp up to get to 20 and assure that we have enough appraisers in the territory?
Yes, one of the things is we would need appropriation from the legislature, as well as I would need to speak with Office of Management and Budget and the leadership within the Lieutenant Governor's office to clarify how we do that. But part of how we are doing this is we had a study done by the International Association of Appraising Officers where they did a gap analysis looking at our needs. And so that's one of the things that guide what we do, as well as we're looking at the things we need to do to comply with the law with mass appraisal and so on. So those things will guide how we do that as we walk towards getting all those folks on board. What we will be doing too is have training in place. So there'll be online courses, as well as at times there will be specific courses that the appraisers have to take that are in modules already. So it's not courses that we have to create. They already exist that will assist that appraiser to improve their expertise and be able to do the work that we need done.
So based on a gap analysis, we need a plan from you in order for us to see how much is needed as we move forward ramping up to assist the department in having appraisers on board, okay?
Not a problem.
Thank you so much for your responses. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you, Senator Blyden. Senator Viala, you recognize your point of information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm seeing in the positions you have the title building appraiser and then you have real property tax appraiser. There's a difference with the two?
Yes, I'll allow our assistant tax appraiser to explain that difference, please. Shalma Moed.
Good afternoon, Shalma Moed, assistant tax assessor. The building appraiser, assistant appraiser positions were the previous positions before the reclassification to the real property tax appraisers, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay,
so same or similar duties, but new titles.
Okay, so the building appraisers that's in the personnel list, and those are individuals that have been with the Lieutenant Governor office for a number of years. And the real property tax appraiser are new individuals that just came on board.
That's correct. My understanding, as far as I know, is that the existing building appraiser positions at some point will also be, I guess, readjusted or reassigned to real property tax 1, 2, 3 titles.
Okay, no.
I believe that may be under consideration with OMB. I'm not sure. Director Farrington may be able to assist a bit more with that clarification.
No. One more question. I understand the answer. Thank you so much for the answer. How did you come up with the salary for the entry level, that appraiser, real estate appraiser, which I'm seeing is 44,051. Nationally, the average is in the 50s. I'm seeing 54,000, a median of 61, but an appraiser is more of a skill position. How did you come up with a 40-something?
Well, those positions are classified, unionized. The job specification has to go through Division of Personnel, and as you know, based on the job spec, they will grade the position.
Is the salary an issue in terms of attracting individuals?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, repeat?
Is the salary an issue in terms of attracting appraisers to come to the department?
Well, we've done good so far with the ones. Even at the 44, I guess it was higher than what some of the entry-level positions used to be before. But as you indicated, given the skill set required, I'm sure it could be better and we would attract an even larger pool.
Okay, and the last question. A number of exemptions were given after Hurricane Irma and Maria in reference to property tax. and damages to home, correct?
Correct.
So you have a listing of all those properties that receive an exemption.
Yes.
Has anyone gone to see if any of those properties are rebuilt and they need to go back to the original level of taxation?
Yes.
Okay.
So just about all of them are off of that exemption list.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Oviele. Next, the chair will recognize Senator Dwayne DeGraff. You recognize for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, testifiers, all viewing, listening, and present. Great presentation. And to your team, number 2, give I what you want. That's number 1. But I just looking at the numbers and I'm having some issues with the numbers. Okay, so thank you to you guys, you and your team. Continue doing that great work. The Act 8916, it goes back to the total amount of employees. I'm still getting 108. And even if I look at the post-audit report from page 11 to 14, up to the top classified, I come 91 positions. That alone. Then on the end of 14, then there's 2 unclassified down below. And then on page 15, there's a whole nother set of individuals filled positions, which take it up to the 108.
The 91 Senators General Fund. We have employees, Claudette Farrington,
Okay.
Good afternoon. We have employees funded on General Fund, 5 of our main divisions. We have employees funded on Financial Services and on Commission of Insurance Fund. Banking, insurance.
Okay, I
FSCs
got
and
that.
so.
I got that. Okay, so I go to 91 and 10. Act 8916, your budget is 7,187,246. You have the 91 employees. How many people receive wage increases? Or did anyone receive wage increases in 25?
Yes, the unionized rank and file members of steel workers, the master agreement, received increases in fiscal year, you said
25.
25, that's correct.
Okay, so do you know what the total? Do you know what the total amount was?
Okay, first of all, it was approximately about 56 employees, and the increases were around 144,000 thereabouts.
Okay, good. So then, based on Act 8960, the 25 budget, your personnel and fringe alone comes to 6,783,183. Personnel and fringe alone, not for your vacant positions or the additional monies we gave you. The difference of the additional monies that was given to you came to, for vacant positions, personnel and fringe, 265,862 and 138,249.
Are you on a particular page?
Page 89, no, Act 8911, your 25
you're talking about the
budget.
legislation for the budget?
Your
for
25 budget.
Okay.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
So based on your 25 budget,
Uh-huh.
on page 3 of the post-audit report has a graph, a pie, and the pie says that as of the 4th quarter, unused funds, $3,221,976. Have you received your 4th quarter allotment as yet?
We get them monthly. So we receive allotments as of July.
So what was the total amount you have received as of July?
According to my calculation, it's 5.3 million.
5.3. No, I need actual numbers. Yeah, for real. Because
1 minute.
And you go give me a total and then give me the breakdown if you can, personal and fringe. How much is for personal? How much is for fringe? Because that's your breakdown from the general
1
fund.
minute, Senator.
Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
while you look for it, I'll keep going.
The appropriation is 7,187,246.
Correct.
As of June, what I have is that we received,
30 seconds.
it would be like $5,390,219.
Okay, so based on what post-audit report has, based on the appropriation 7,187,000, they have unused funds 3,221,976. But you say you've only received 5,390,219,
Yes,
and you're asking for 7,743,246.
okay, Senator Claudette Farrington, you're comparing fiscal year 2025
And 26.
when we had less, in terms of the numbers going up, when we had less vacancies and some of they were at not 100%, 50%, 0.5 FTE. For 2026, we're given a ceiling, and within that ceiling, you can accommodate, once you address your fill positions, you can accommodate as many vacancies as you can. So,
Okay, one second. Like I say, with all due respect, if I may wrap up, Mr. Chair, just in terms of, we add in vacancies, just in terms of your 25 budget, 6,783,135 is your personnel and fringe for 25. You divide that by 4, the 4 quarters, you come to 271,325.
you keep doing quarters, it's...
No, yeah, you're right. 2,731,000? Yes. 2.7. So if they're saying that the unused funds, based on what the pie is for the post-audit report on page 3, is 3,221,000, your fourth quarter is covered and additional monies.
Senator, again, it's done monthly. So if you go from October to July, that would give you 3 quarters and 1 month. So it's not 4 quarters.
No, but what I'm saying is your 25 budget, just to close out, Mr. Chair, your 25 budget is divided in 4. I divided it in 4 when you add the personal and fringe. So in other words, I'm covering you with your amount of money that you're supposed to get, plus the addition I want to make sure you cover your wage increases, but you went to 7,000,007 from 7,000,001. We added in for vacancies and stuff, and remove your vacancies, just went off your personal and fringe, throw in your wage increases, and still came up over. So I'm just saying, so when you, in your ask, are we looking for more money? Is anybody else do wage increases? Is any retro owed to anyone?
For
Any other monies that
2023?
we have? 25.
25, no.
Okay.
We're good. No. We paid out the last set of increases, those for 2025 for the master. Now the supervisors union, a few among their steel workers as well, we started a negotiation process, and they will be going back to the table in September. I don't know how long that's going to take. I don't know what the figure will be, but it's a smaller group as opposed to those on the master agreement.
And no
And I
estimation was in
think
it for them.
what would happen in a case like that, normally when they negotiate, if necessary, they would have to, the government overall, identify the funding to address salary increases if you're unable to accommodate them in your current budget once the wage agreements have been signed.
Okay, so thank you for the time, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator DeGraff. Your budget for request for FY 2026 is increased by a little over $5 million, correct? I mean $500,000, 556 to be exact. And is that money solely used for personnel, or there's something else embedded in that amount?
Personnel and fringe.
Solely personnel and fringe.
Personnel and fringe.
Yes. $556,000.
Yeah, and I don't want to say we're comparing apples and oranges. We're going from a year in 2025, our budget had decreased. So you would have a larger difference.
Right.
But it's solely for personal and fringe.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. And then you spoke about the fact that a lot of your vacancies then with the FTEs were, some of them were 0.50,
Exactly.
0.25, and different variations of
Exactly.
it. Yeah. Understood. Are you doing any exit interviews? I know that you spoke about the 5 individuals have resigned. I'm hearing of employees with 15, 18 years that's leaving the divisions. Is there any exit interview of these individuals' departure that will lead to some discussion in terms of how they could be salvaged? Or is it solely because of salaries or anything else?
Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. There aren't official exit interviews, which is something that we will begin. I've inquired about that. I have been speaking to some of the employees that are leaving or have left the department. And thank you, Senator James. I am aware of the employee and the recorder of deeds, and I would be remiss by saying that some of the issues why people are leaving is due to low salaries. And they're either going to another government agency or a private firm or company or relocating. A couple of our employees have relocated to the States, to the mainland.
So in those instances where you having discussion with them, is there opportunities again to perhaps offer them some other position? When you have tenured employees like that, 15, 18 years, it's hard to lose them. You're not just losing those individuals, you're losing a wealth of experience as well. Is there any discussion with them in respect to how you could be able to hopefully salvage that relationship, especially if it's salary, maybe another position that may be available that they could qualify for, a stipend, whatever they'll take to kind of just maintain those employees. Is there that type of opportunities there?
Well, that's something that we want to begin, and having more open communications, we can ascertain what the problem is maybe sooner than later. The discussions that I've been having have been occurring after hearing that that person is separating from the department. So we want to have more open conversations, and some of them, we have at least 3 employees who have been promoted. They may not have been happy or just wanted to have upward mobility. And one of them is here today, our Director of VI SHIP Medicare, Rosemarie Maduro. She's the former Executive Assistant, Administrative Assistant to the Chief of Staff, as well as an appraiser. So those are conversations we want to have, we have been having, to let people know, to see if we can retain employees as opposed to just leaving, and being aware of problems before they decide to leave the office.
Very well. I know you have that skill set. When you work with me, you certainly exhort it. I'm hoping you get a chance to exercise it as well there. Senator College-Joseph, you're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. A pleasant good day to the hardworking men and women of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. I want to say one word when I see you guys: hardworking and cha-ching. Guys bringing in the moolah, the money, and I am, for one, very much in support of doing what we can here legislatively, because you're collecting the money. That's what pays all of us. The taxpayers' money is what pays us, and for us to provide the required services to our people. So I want to, first of all, ask you, and this question I'm not sure if it's going to go to Ms. Farrington or Attorney Harrigan, but I wanted to ask you, how many funds do you have in the Lieutenant Governor's office? How many funds are there that you have under your purview? And these are separate from the general fund. Mr. Chair, hold my time, please.
Okay, so one. I'm making sure I don't miss, excuse me, I'm making sure I don't miss a fund. It's Claudia Farrington. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 funds.
Okay, I counted 5, but I could miss one. I have the tax assessors revolving fund.
That's 2082.
Yes.
Can I run down
Let's
them
go.
in order?
We're going to reconcile it
We
here.
have Fund 2076, that's corporations and trademarks.
Okay.
2082, tax assessor revolving fund. 2103, financial services fund. 2110, commission of insurance fund. 6051, that's the GIS fund.
That's the one I missed.
Okay.
I didn't count that one because that was federal.
No.
Not entirely?
No, it's local.
Okay, I missed that
And
one.
6104 would be the
The
record of deeds.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's 6. I just wanted to make sure I had it here. Now, I wanted to ask you, because I looked in the budget book and I compared it to what is stated here, and the one that was alarming to me, to tell you the truth, is the budget book represented that you had a little deficit in the financial services fund for monies available for the budget. I could tell you what page it is on, and if you could explain that to me, why they would say that. It was on page 21. It's a financial services. You had a deficit is here in quotations, well, in parentheses, and that's usually stating a deficit of $427,490.01. I don't know how that came about, but maybe you could shed some light why the budget book would say that, wherein your representation in your testimony clearly states that you are doing good. You're doing really good with financial services here. So I'm just wondering what would be that little delta that they are referring to, Ms. Farrington. Shed some light on that.
Good afternoon, Senator. I would have to look at the budget book, but in general, when they're preparing the budget, they pull information from the system. And sometimes there's information that's pulled. It could be from a prior period. In other words, everything rolls up in one.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's a figure or something, some outlying number out there, and it wasn't anything on a current basis. It doesn't mean anything to you per se. You understand what I'm saying? Because some of these funds continue multi-year.
Okay, so my question is not on you necessarily, but definitely on finance and how we are reconciling those balances.
Mm-hmm.
Because you represented here, at least for yourself, for financial services, you have from actual for 2024 of 9.1 million. You have already collected for 2025 up to June 20th, 7.9, almost $8 million. So I wanted to understand how this could have a deficit in this line
I don't
item.
have a deficit for financial services fund. I can say that.
Okay, that's
okay,
good.
Okay, that's good enough for you.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
works
as
for
long
me too.
as long as you are looking at it and you know you don't have a deficit, I am good. Now I want to switch to corporations and trademarks. Ms. Johannes, I see that you are doing really well, and your projections as far as 2026 is
30 seconds.
8.5 million. Are you going to be able to make that? And I'm looking at page 1 of your testimony that was presented. 8.5 million, almost 9 million, and that's going to be up about 500,000.
Good afternoon, Denise Johannes, Director, Division of Corporations and Trademarks. We're right now on track. By the end of this month, we will be up to very close to 8 million or a little past it. And after that, we got 2 more months in the fiscal year.
Okay, good. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I do have another question. May I? Thank you so kindly. For the tax Ms. Johannes, how many companies do you have who are registered and operating in the Virgin Islands that has to provide annual reports to the corporations and trademark?
It is 17,097 corporations, limited liability companies, and partnerships.
That's a sizable amount. Mr. Chairman, I really want to thank you for the time, but I would have liked to get one more question in. Thank you so kindly. Okay, so I have one other question, and this is for nobody gets jealous. This is for my favorite division, and that's, of course, the tax assessors, the property tax division. Mr. Laird, I understand you indicated previously that you have about $100 million outstanding in property taxes. How and what is going to be done to collect that money? That's our money. We have services, we have roads to fix. Okay, we have to help with the hospitals and all of the medical facilities, and we have housing. We have all of those things. We have these bills, and we have to pay our hard-working people of the Virgin Islands, our government workers, and provide those services in consideration of this one big, beautiful bill that we're seeing cuts. We need to collect this money. What are we doing?
Thank you, Senator. Brent Laird, tax collector. As of right now, as I mentioned, it's about $100 million that's delinquent, and that's before the delinquency time hits for 2025. It's going to increase when that time hits on August 30th. We're doing several things. We're encouraging first of all, we're communicating better with the public than before. And we're encouraging folks to, first, if you don't have the ability to pay all of your taxes, then please do a payment plan. A payment plan is going to do a couple of things. It's going to freeze your interest and penalties from the day that you start your payment plan, as well as it's going to remove you. It would disallow us from sending you to final collection activities, whatever kind, whether property auctions or judicial foreclosure. And so if you do a payment plan and manage that through, there's no additional fees, there's no additional costs. You can even do it online. You don't have to come into our offices. You can pay like that. And so education helps. And so the more we have the conversation with the public, we see that we're beginning to achieve our potential, which is what we want to see is a steady flow of collections throughout the year, not a high-low kind of a thing that, okay, only when taxes are billed, that's when you see a spike, and then after that, it comes down. So we're beginning to see the difference, and we're going to continue to work on that same process to educate people and help them to reduce their delinquencies and to fulfill their debt to the government.
Thank you so much, Mr. Latham. I want to commend you because I remember vividly that you had reported to this body earlier this year that the outstanding was $125 million, and now you're down to $100 million. Just keep up the good work. Let's move on and press on regardless. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Thank you very much, Senator Carl J. Joseph, and the chair will recognize Senator Ray Fonseca has joined us. He's a committee member. Before we go to him, real quickly while he's settling, I know that Mr. Johannes, you had done some work in terms of automating trademarks and cooperation. Are you satisfied at the level now that your automation is fully completed? And speak to how has that benefited your division?
Thank you, Senator. The Division of Corporations and Trademarks started its online implementation system that's available to the public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Corporations, partnerships, limited liability companies, UCC filers, as well as trademarks are all now filing their reports, their documents, real time with the division. when their reports are coming due, like the June 30th deadline that just passed, persons start receiving their email reminders from January, and incrementally 3 months out, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month out, and they're on July 1 are immediately told that they don't have an approved annual report. So we are constantly collecting with the email reminders. We are also administratively dissolving entities in accordance with the law if they have 1 or more years in arrears of not paying their franchise taxes. So it's keeping everyone honestly.
Thank you for that. And Acting Chief of Staff, in respect to consumers, are they able to make online payment throughout the entire spectrum of LGO for any services they receive?
Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. Yes, I believe so. There is that option.
Across the board?
Sorry?
Across the board, all of your divisions, you're able to make online payment?
Yes.
And what form of payments you accept on your online payments? Credit card?
Credit card, debit card.
PayPal?
We're not there
Venmo?
yet. We're not there yet.
All right. And when there's a defect in the system, is there a fall over, a fall safe that you could go back to the Division of Finance, Department of Finance to make that payment? I know there was a challenge in some instances where there's some difficulties when your system may be down. Is there a default that, because we want to make sure that there's always opportunities for individuals to be able to pay online when they want to pay. Okay, the minute they leave that computer, chances of them coming back is really slim.
I would have to get back to you, Senator, on that.
On that, okay. Do you have any litigation or judgment against the LGO that you're aware of?
Yes, there's at least one settlement, and we are negotiating or finalizing, I should say, a second settlement.
Okay, and you have the funding and everything to be able to address that settlement?
No, for the settlement that is being finalized, we would have to ask for an appropriation. And for the first settlement, it's my understanding that there is funding for that settlement.
Okay.
The latter of which would be over $1 million.
Very well. Is your petty cash and credit card and everything reconciled and up to date?
I'll let Ms. Farrington answer that question.
Good afternoon. You said if our credit card.
Petty cash, credit cards.
We're not. We only have one credit card. We don't have credit cards.
Okay.
Not plural, and we have to work on it monthly. Has to go through the system and Department of Finance.
What about petty cash?
Currently, that's something we're working on. We don't really have a functioning right now. It's something we're transitioning with.
No impress fund? What about impress fund?
No, I think from what I recall, we had one account that said it's an impress fund, but it's not anything that, no kind of money in it, and not anything we've done anything with in a while. We don't have much of those. Our funds go through the system.
Okay. At this time, the chair will recognize Senator Ray Fonseca for your 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and a special welcome to the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. I spent all this morning with the Lieutenant Governor. We were at the function for the summer internship for the college level students with the Commissioner of Labor up at the Charlotte Amaya High School. It was a full group. Okay, so Lieutenant Governor's office is one of our main revenue generation in the government, and I have to congratulate you on the street naming initiatives. That's going well. We're working on renaming the one road after Dr. Afral Heath. They're going in. I think you've received the application. Good. Insurance initiatives. I remember last year the Lieutenant Governor launched the new health insurance initiatives. that would be available. How is that coming? And I wanted to get some breakdown on the rates. I want to do some comparatives for self-insurance in the Virgin Islands, because one of our main problems in the hospitals is we have a large amount of the population is uninsured. And that was a great initiative. I wonder if you can give me some specifics on that.
Good afternoon, Glendina Matthew, Director of the Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation. I don't have that information with me. I would have to get that from the company. The company who is now offering individual health insurance is Optimum Global, and that is through the producer, Joe Brugo's Caribbean Risk Group. So I'll have to get that information for you.
Okay. Through the chair, I'd like to get that information because we gotta try our best. I know that the Obamacare issue, the Virgin Islands opted out of it years ago, and right now, a big problem that we have is the uninsured persons presenting to the hospital, and in many cases, people would like to get insurance, but it's so cost prohibitive. We in the government, being that we in this big pool, it automatically comes out of our check. But I think we need to encourage more of the businesses, especially the medium to larger businesses, to provide that insurance for the employees, because it benefits the government overall. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, because I've been doing some checks here, right? And I noticed there's some areas where a lot of the recorder of deeds, Erica, information. I'm sorry, I'm calling you by your first name. We're personal friends, so sorry about that. The recorder of deeds, right, is online. How are we coming along with that?
Erica Dover, Recorder of Deeds Office, St. Thomas. It's very profitable, and we have a lot of customers actually using the service, and so we have collected a lot of money through that e-recording, we call it.
Okay, so Ms. Dover, you find out on the Lieutenant Governor, Recorder of Deeds, exactly what's the link?
My title?
No, the link to find, you said you're doing some of it.
Yes, so you would go to the Lieutenant Governor's website. Even
One
if you
minute.
were to Google Recorder of Deeds St. Thomas, you would get to the same page as if you go to www.ltg.gov.vi. So you can search for that e-recording information through Googling Recorder of Deeds St. Thomas.
Okay. One number that I always like to know, normally I ask Brent Leadham, the total value of the properties in the Virgin Islands. I noticed it had been going up. I think it was about $1.4 billion or
30
somewhere
seconds.
close to that the last time. What is that figure now?
Good afternoon, Senator. I'm going to defer to the tax assessor, Mr. Romney, but it's much higher than that.
Okay, Mr. Romney?
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Romney, tax assessor. The total assessed value in the Virgin Islands right now is about 80. Let's see.
15,359,448,797.
Time.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just wrap up. So then, Mr. Leadham, so based on the law, right, the Virgin Islands, we can, help me here, we can float bonds based on what, 10% of the value? Is that what it is?
10% of the total assessed value of real property in the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
I didn't give you the assessed value. I gave you the value of property in the Virgin Islands. If you want the total assessed value,
yes,
it would be $81,516,106.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you very much, Senator Fonseca. Acting Chief of Staff, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. Director of MIS is here, Mr. Lance McKay, and he can respond to your inquiry about when there's outages, whether the service goes to finance, if they can pay.
Very well. Can you put your name on the record, please? And while you're speaking of that, there's also some concerns of whether or not you're able to accept MasterCard, American Express, and again, these are citizens that's listening to the hearing that's making these inquiries.
Good afternoon, everyone. Senator Lance McKay, MAS Director for Office of Lieutenant Governor. To the question of, I guess you're talking about redundancy in terms of payments and not having any outages as much as possible when it comes to payment. We have multiple systems in place. Most of these things are regarding internet usage. So we do have multiple internet sources available so we can mitigate those outages as much as possible. But where the question to MasterCard,
yes, American Express. So just speak to what form of payments you're able to accept at the Lieutenant
right
Governor's
now
office.
for the tax assessor's office, it's mainly Visa, but we are working with the vendor to make sure those other services do come online, perhaps within the next few months. I'm hopeful. Where the other divisions are concerned, some of them do have those options available, and of course, you can always come to the office directly to make those other forms of payments as well.
Very well. Thank you for putting that on record. Real quickly, Ms. Glendina Matthews, Attorney Matthews, in regards to the insurance coverage, can you speak to what the Lieutenant Governor's office is doing in terms of ramping up the offerings? Any of the insurance company in the pipeline? We're in the hurricane season, of course, as well as my colleague spoke about the prohibition of insurance in some instances. Can you speak to what the Lieutenant Governor's office is doing in that space?
Good afternoon, Glendina Matthew, Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation. We have been doing a lot in terms of getting ready for the hurricane season, as well as informing consumers as to what is available in the territory. One of the things we have been doing is doing a lot of outreach, meeting with different entities, partnering with different groups, including as recent as within the last maybe month or two, I met with the realtors in the St. Croix district, advising them as to the status of the insurance market. Fortunately for us, the market has stabilized a lot, more significant than last year. Last year, when we came before you, we had a lot of issues with lack of capacity, and persons not being able to get insurance, especially as it relates to wooden structures. I met with, and when I say I am meaning our team met with all our active insurers, and all of them have advised us that they have been able to add additional capacity into the market. So you shouldn't be seeing some of the issues we had last year in that there was an inability to get insurance coverage. There is some limitation with wooden structures, but it's not an outright limitation like it was last year. So there are companies that are providing coverage for wooden structures. So that is the good news. In terms of any rate increases, we have not received any rate increases last year. Our last rate increase, I think, might have been in 2024, where we granted a 3% additional rate increase to one of our PNC insurers. But since then, we haven't received any additional requests for rate increases from our PNC insurers. So the good news is we haven't seen any rate increase. The good news is also that there is an increase in capacity in the market for those interested in getting homeowners insurance.
And is that inclusive of construction as well?
There is some limitation still with construction, loan, not construction loan, insurance in general. But even if you're seeking a construction loan and you would like to get insurance to cover that loan, there is capacity in the market.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. Senator DeGraff, you recognized for your point of information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tax Assessor Romney, are the timeshares here deeded in the territory?
So far, yes.
Use a mic.
Okay, use a mic. Yep.
Speak in the mic.
Yes, Tax Assessor Lieutenant Romney. Yes.
They're mandatorily deeded, to be deeded, or just you don't know?
I didn't understand your question.
For purposes of being timeshares in the territory, is it mandatory for them to be deeded?
We are in a transition process because I think there is a shift in the understanding of what a timeshare is. And so the laws have not caught up with this shift in thinking. So we are sort of in a transitional period where timeshare is not thought of as real property by the definition of what real property is. So prior to that understanding, they were being taxed as real property. So each timeshare owner had to pay a bill.
Right.
We're moving towards the consolidation, which also is in the recognition that the real property is, one of the definitions is that it's an immovable. So a timeshare itself is not an immovable, because if you own a timeshare, you don't have to use the unit that you bought the time for here in the Virgin Islands. You can use it somewhere else.
No, but or just based upon are they deeded?
Yes.
And mandatorily?
I can't.
Okay, you can't say. Okay, so they deeded, yes. Thank you.
But
Thank
they
you for the
have
time,
deeds.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Very well. Thank you. I think that rounds out the round. At this point, any burning questions from my colleagues? If not, we'll go to, yes, Ms. Farrington.
Good afternoon, Senator. I just want to bring one thing to the attention. We can have a conversation, with the post auditor. The fund for recorder of deeds is generally $200,000, and it's showing up as $148,004. The difference of $51,996 is for a contract, the main contract for that division, which is much needed. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. And of course, you could definitely have that further discussion with the post auditor so that it can be properly documented.
Okay.
At this time, Acting Chief of Staff, Attorney Harrigan, you may issue your closing remarks at this time.
Thank you, Senator. On behalf of the Honorable Jogenza A. Roach, Esquire, Lieutenant Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, we thank you for providing us this opportunity to support our budget this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. We also would like to thank the amazing managers and supervisors here with me today, and all of the employees in the Office of the Lieutenant Governor for your dedication, commitment, and amazing and tireless work. And we will continue and look forward to serving the citizens of the Virgin Islands. And I'll be remiss if I didn't end by saying, please pay your property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, please extend the appreciation to the rank and file employees of Lieutenant Governor's Office. We appreciate and recognize that, in fact, you're number two wheel on the bus, and in providing the revenues that comes into the coffers of the government of the Virgin Islands. We truly appreciate the upward trending and the continued improvement that we're seeing in terms of your collection. The projection of $131 million, Ms. Farrington. We look forward to to see that numbers continue to grow, and where there's opportunities for us to collect, we want to make sure that we're making the available resources available to you to make that happen. Yes, Ms. Harrigan.
For your information, there's
Please recognize Mike 3.
just for your information, which might be of interest to you, there's a page at the back of the testimony, and it gives a profile of the revenue collections from 2019.
Yes.
Come forward to, so we wanted to give you that historical perspective.
I've been paying attention to it, and yes, it's good information, and I've looked at it, and I'll continue to look at it because again, all we've seen is numbers are going up, and which is very good. All right. So the Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance stands a recess for 15 minutes. When we come back, we're coming back with the Office of the Governor. The Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance is back on record, out of recess. At this time, Madam Clerk, please call up the item in block number 2.
Block number 2, 1 to 3 p.m., Office of the Governor. Invited testifier, Kevin A. Williams, Sr., Chief of Staff. This ends the reading of today's agenda, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Any correspondence to be read into the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You may proceed.
July 23rd, 2025. Honorable Novelli Francis Jr., Chair, Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, Capitol Building, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, 00822. Dear Chairman Francis, I'm writing to formally notify you that, regrettably, I'll be unable to appear before the committee to present testimony regarding the Office of the Governor's Fiscal Year 2026 budget. In my absence, Deputy Chief of Staff Kevin A. Rodriguez will testify on my behalf. Mr. Rodriguez is well versed in all matters pertaining to the budget and the office's operational priorities and is fully authorized to respond to the committee's inquiries. We remain committed to transparency and collaboration as we work together to ensure the effective allocation of resources in service to the people of the Virgin Islands. Thank you for your understanding and continued partnership. Respectfully, Kevin A. Williams, Sr., Chief of Staff. This ends today's correspondence, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We do have the representatives from the Office of the Governor present and seated at the testifier's table, and we'll go to them at this time. And Deputy Chief Kevin Rodriguez, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Senator.
May you introduce yourself and then the rest of the team. Could you do that?
My name is Kevin Rodriguez, Deputy Chief of Staff, Office of the Governor.
Joycelyn J. Durant, Director of Business and Administration.
Haldane Davies, Director, Bureau of Economic Research.
Michelle?
Michelle Francis, Director, Office of Health Information Technology.
Tony?
Antonio Emanuel, Executive Director of Gun Violence Prevention.
Julian Henley, Senior ADA Coordinator for the Government of the Virgin Islands.
Thank you all very much, and good afternoon. We have anyone on St. Croix?
No, Senator.
All right. You may proceed with your testimony at this time.
Good afternoon, Honorable Senator Noble E. Francis, Jr., Chairman of the Committee on Budget, Appropriation and Finance. Esteemed committee members, fellow senators of the 36th Legislature, legislative staff, and members of the public joining us today. I appreciate the opportunity to present before you. I am Kevin A. Rodriguez, Deputy Chief of Staff to Governor Albert Bryan Jr., and it is my privilege to present the fiscal year 2026 budget request for the Office of the Governor on behalf of Chief of Staff Kevin A. Williams, Sr. I represent the dedicated team that works daily to advance Governor Albert Bryan Jr.'s vision for a stronger and more inclusive Virgin Islands. Joining me are leaders from key divisions under the Office of the Governor. Joycelyn Durant, Director of Business and Administration. Michelle Francis, Director of Office of Health Information Technology. Antonio Emanuel, Director of Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Dr. Haldane Davies, Director of the Bureau of Economic Research. And Julian Henley, Territorial American with Disabilities Act Coordinator. The Governor's authority established by the Revised Organic Act of 1954, the Elective Governors Act of 1968, and the Virgin Islands Code Title 2 and 3 empowers him to oversee the executive branch and ensure effective law enforcement across the territory. In Governor Bryan's second term, our administration remains steadfast in promoting inclusive economic growth, enhancing public safety, modernizing government operations, and expanding equitable access to essential services. The Office of the Governor serves as the central hub for these efforts, coordinating policy, overseeing agencies, and fostering collaboration among federal and local partners. We directly manage and support several high-impact initiatives through the Bureau of Economics Research, the Office of Health Information Technology, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and the ADA Coordinator's Office, advancing data-driven planning, digital health equity, violence prevention, and accessibility. Our team sets strategic direction and ensures daily operations align with the administration's core priorities: economic development, healthcare, public safety, education, and community resilience. The fiscal year 2026 budget reflects these goals and support the talented professionals serving the people of the Virgin Islands with integrity and purpose. It is also underscore our continued investment in modernization, historical preservation, and civic engagement. Notably, we commissioned the official portrait of former Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. and plan to do the same for former Governor Kenneth E. Mapp, ensuring their leadership is permanently memorialized, as was done for former Governor Roy Lesnar-Sider and Governor Charles Wesley Turnbull. This is a part of our broader effort to preserve the territory's legacy of leadership. We are also undertaking essential repairs and improvements at government house facilities across St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John to preserve their historical and operational integrity. These efforts include mold remediation, long overdue air conditioning repairs, upgrades to audiovisual equipment, and FEMA-funded restoration projects scheduled to begin as early as November 2025. Recent infrastructure upgrades include the modernization of our internal phone system on St. Croix to strengthen continuity of operations and interdepartmental communication. To support data-informed governance, we welcome Dr. Haldane Davies as the new Director of the Bureau of Economics Research. Continuing our commitment to community engagement, we also hosted a variety of nonprofit and cultural events at Government House locations across 3 islands. These events include the annual Memorial Day ceremony, wreath laying ceremony, Division of Personnel Ethics training, Virgin Islands Police Department Peace Officer graduation, U.S. Army 250th anniversary cake cutting ceremony, and the Territorial Girl Scout Gala, just to name a few. These collective efforts reflect the core values of this administration: preserving history, improving operational efficiency, promoting integrity, and building public trust. As we present our fiscal year 2026 budget, we remain focused on delivering results, expanding access to services, and moving the Virgin Islands forward. With these priorities, accomplishments, and initiatives in mind, I now turn to the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal, which outlines the resources necessary to sustain and expand the vital work of the Office of the Governor and its divisions. Today, we will highlight the major components of the Governor fiscal 2026 budget requests. The financial resources requested are required to fund our mandatory costs and plan initiative for the central operation of the Office of the Governor, the Bureau of Economic Research, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and the Office of Health Information Technology. The Office of the Governor's fiscal year 2026 general fund budget of $12,812,494 include $11,466,196 of funding for the Office of the Governor, $703,092 for the Bureau of Economic Research, and $643,206 for the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Additionally, $1,275,000 is requested for miscellaneous and special activities, and $300,000 is requested for the Tourism Revolving Fund for a total of fiscal year 2026 funding requests of $14,387,494. The proposed budget for the Office of the Governor for fiscal year 2026 amount to $14,387,494. This total includes $1,275,000 in miscellaneous and special appropriated funds, $300,000 from the Tourism Revolving Fund, and $12,812,494 allocated from the General Fund. Currently, the Office of the Governor employs a total of 96 employees with 80 filled positions and 16 vacancies. Personnel costs, personnel services. For fiscal year 2026, personnel costs are estimated to be $6,602,292, which represent 51.5% of the proposed budget. These personnel costs are for 80 full-time filled position and 16 vacant position, funded at 50% by General Fund. This position are distributed as follows. Filled position, Government House on St. Thomas has 35 employees. The Battery on St. John has 4 employees. Government House on St. Croix has 29 employees. The Bureau of Economic Research has 4 employees. Office of Gun Violence has 7 employees. And the Office of Health Information Technology has 1 employee on St. Croix with 1 shared administrative staff. Vacant positions. The Office of the Governor has 13 funded vacant positions. The Bureau of Economic Research has 2 funded vacant positions. And the Office of Gun Violence has 1 funded vacant position. We anticipate filling 6 of these vacancies in the next 30 days, with the others to follow. These dedicated professionals are responsible for the daily execution of the mission of the Governor's office. Fringe benefits. Employee fringe benefits account for $2,640,576, which is 21.6% of our overall budget, amounting to 42% of the personnel costs. Fringe benefit covers employees' retirement contribution, workers' compensation premium, Social Security contribution, or federal insurance contribution, which is FICA, Medicare, and health insurance premiums. Supplies. The request of $436,100 for supplies will fund the purchase of operating, maintenance, consumable office supplies, food and catering services, minor tools and office equipment, replacement costs of uniform for our housekeeping, maintenance, and security staff, other services and charges. The budget category described as other services and charges amount to $2,179,459, or 17% of our budget. These projected expenditures are broken down as follows. $140,000. This is broken down for the repair and maintenance of equipment and administrative repair based on traditional expenditure. Minor building repairs, landscaping, and exterminating services at a cost of $118,000 and auto repair at a cost of $222,000, excuse me. $231,700. This is used for the rental of the DC and local office spaces, rental costs of copiers, postage, and other equipment. Rental costs of $151,700 and equipment rental of $80,000. $560,000 is for routine monthly professional services contract for $545,000 and security services in the amount of $15,000 necessary to augment security staff during special events. $32,120 is for the printing and binding of documents and reports. $10,120 and transportation expenses to include shipping of goods and services between islands, $22,000. $383,500 is for monthly communication costs for telephone, T1 line, internet and conference call services, $308,500. And advertising and promotion via radio and printing media, $75,000. $369,500 is for inter and off-island travel expenses for the governor, his security detail, and support staff, $203,200. Purchase of bulk tickets for travel within the territory, $80,500. Cash advance, $50,800, and to facilitate training initiative, $35,000. $462,639 is for all miscellaneous items not otherwise classified in the ERP system. Bank charges, $2,500. Community events and other initiative of the governor, $460,139. Utilities. Our utility budget request of $514,000 will provide for electricity and water consumption for the governor's office and BER. The expenditures of these funds will be managed through the single payer utility fund at the Department of Finance. Capital outlay. Our capital budget request of $321,000 will provide for replacement costs of major office equipment, the purchase of 2 new vehicles, generator and air conditioning repairs at Government House St. Croix, and other minor renovations to Government House on St. John at the Battery. Miscellaneous and special activities. $1,275,000 is requested for FY26 to cover expenses for miscellaneous annual activities and events to include USVI, BVI Friendship Day, USVI Puerto Rico Friendship Day, activities in both district, Emancipation Day activities, Government Access Channel, Office of Health Information Technology Exchange, and Office of Gun Violence Prevention for operational expenses, and the Virgin Islands Virtual Information System. Funding for governors' annual activities will cover activities for the Children Christmas Party and Reading Challenge territory-wide. Bureau of Economic Research. The governor's budget proposal for Bureau of Economic Research includes $1,003,092, comprised of $700,000 $703,092 for the general fund and $300,000 from the tourism revolving fund. BIA has a staff of 4 and is in the process of recruiting 2 additional staff members. The Bureau of Economic Research is the Virgin Islands' primary source of reliable, quality-assured statistics that support informed decision-making, planning, and economic development across the territory. BIA provides data to both public and private sectors to assist with policy development, grant applications, economic forecasting, and performance evaluation. Recent publications available on BIA website include 2022 Economic Census Report, 2022 Gross Domestic Product Report, 2024 Consumer Index Pricing Report, 2022 to 2023 Visitor Exit Survey, 2022 Blue Economy and Living Wage Studies, and 2023 Economic Review and Hotel Occupancy Report. BIA leverages applied research and diverse data sources to monitor the economy, inform development, and evaluate the impact of policies and initiatives while serving as a trusted resource for government, developers, and investors. Its mission is to provide timely, accurate economic data to support public and private sector decisions with a vision of transforming the territory's planning and development through accessible, accountable insight. BIA core priorities include strengthening institutional capacity with modern institutional tool and training, attracting and retaining skilled professionals, leveraging advanced technology for data collection and dissemination, enhancing public access to user-friendly, visualized statistics, and collaborating with regional and global statistical offices for best practices. Building on these core priorities, BER has identified several key goals and projects for the upcoming fiscal year that will advance its mission, strengthen data-driven planning, and support sustainable economic growth across the territory. BER key goals and projects include expanding data collection on accommodation, facilitating staff development in economic and forecasting tool, update the comprehensive economic development strategy, complete the household income and expenditure survey, analyze the economic impact of GVI operations and recovery efforts, support investment promotion via data-backed pitch deck, evaluate and recommend government fee structure, conduct a study of government GVI territorial health insurance viability, propose public-private asset monetization strategies, identify new revenue generation opportunities using economic data, partner with USVI EDA to pursue AEDO and professional certifications, collaborate and referencing Vision 2040, and standardize economic analysis model across agencies. BER remains committed to delivering accountable economic intelligence and fostering collaboration for the territory's future growth. Office of Gun Violence Prevention. The governor's budget proposal for the Office of Gun Violence Prevention of $868,206 includes $643,206 from the general fund and $225,000 from the miscellaneous fund for operational expense. The Office of the Governor the Office of Gun Violence Prevention remains steadfast in its mission to reduce gun-related violence and promote healing across the Virgin Islands. Through a comprehensive approach grounded in prevention, intervention, education, and support, OGVP works directly with individuals and communities to stop violence before it starts and provide vital assistance in its aftermath. Despite a tragic weekend in June marked by multiple shootings, the overall rate of gun violence in the territory has continued to decline. This encouraging trend reflects the impact of GOVP's sustained effort and a strong partnership with law enforcement, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, faith-based groups, and private sector allies. Violence prevention and reduction remain central to OGVP's work. Over the past years, the office has delivered anti-violence and anti-bullying presentations to more than 3,500 students across the territory. These sessions, held in schools and youth center spaces, focus on early prevention and equip young people with tools to manage conflict, resolve disputes, and make safe decisions. Additionally, more than 200 professionals and community members have participated in OGVP's safety training workshop on topics such as workplace violence prevention, active shooter response, conflict resolution, de-escalation, and procedural justice. Community engagement is another pillar of OGVP's strategy. In collaboration with the Department of Health and Department of Human Services, OGVP has partnered with multiple wellness day offering resident access to trauma information care, mental health screening, and community resources. These outreach efforts not only support healing, but also build trust between service provider and the community they serve. Youth empowerment and education are key areas of focus. OGVP support at-risk students through the citizen leadership curriculum and the in-school suspension program, both of which emphasize mentorship, responsibility, and self-awareness. More than 75 families have participated in parenting classes designed to improve communication, access, address behavioral challenges, and strengthen family dynamics. OGVP also operates after-school programs in partnership with the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, currently serving over 50 students. To further promote positive alternative, the office has organized youth baseball outings and provides summer camp sponsorship, creating safe, enriching environment for young people outside of school hours. OGVP's role extends beyond prevention and education. It plays a direct and compassionate role in responding to violence. In 90% of the homicide cases, OGVP survivor engagement specialist has provided direct support to victims and their families, assisting with crisis intervention, counseling referrals, and long-term follow-up. Meanwhile, OGVP's team of trained violence interrupters has successfully de-escalated more than a dozen high-risk situations, where violence was imminent. These outlined interventions have helped prevent retaliatory acts and save lives. Cross-agency collaboration amplifies OGVP's reach and effectiveness. By working closely with agencies such as the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, Department of Health, and the Department of Human Services, OGVP ensures services are delivered efficiently, equitably, and in alignment with community needs. Looking ahead, OGVP is committed to expanding its impact. The office plans to host more than 100 violence prevention events, broaden its presence in school and neighborhoods, enhance youth enrichment activities, strengthen services for victims and survivors, and increase training access for both professional and the general public. While the path to ending gun violence is complex and evolving, OGVP's work continues to yield meaningful results through evidence-based strategies, strong partnership, and unwavering dedication to community well-being. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention remains a critical force in creating a Virgin Islands where all residents can live in safety, dignity, and peace. Office of Health Information Technology. The Office of Health Information Technology currently operates solely from the Office of the Governor's General Fund to include $400,000 from the Operational Expense Fund and in support of the implementation of the Virgin Islands Health Information Exchange. Established in 2021 by executive order, the Office of Information Technology leads the modernization of health IT system across the territory. OHIT's mission is to deliver innovative digital health solutions that improve care and wellness for all Virgin Islanders. We envision a connected, efficient health system that enhances both individual and population outcomes. OHIT's strategic plan focuses on empowering patients and providers through digital tools, building a secure, interoperable IT infrastructure, developing a skilled local workforce to sustain growth. To support these strategic priorities, OHIT has established a set of core objectives that guide implementation efforts and ensure meaningful, measurable progress across the healthcare ecosystem. OHIT core objectives include modernization of health care delivery through better data use, strengthening interoperability across providers and systems, shaping health IT policy and legislation, supporting providers with grants, training, and best practices, managing the USVI Health Information Exchange, and expanding care across for vulnerable population. With these objectives as our foundation, OHIT has made significant progress over the past year through key initiatives and partnership across the territory. Key achievements. Hosted the third annual Digital Health Summit with 250 plus attendees and legislative engagement on the healthcare data utility. Secure $1.3 million in federal funding to support EHR upgrades, HIE connectivity, and disaster recovery. Supported a HRSA grant for telehealth tools at St. Thomas East End Medical Center. Collaborated with the USVI Hospital Board to develop an upgraded electronic medical records strategy, and created a blueprint for accountable healthcare infrastructure focusing on sustainability, telehealth, integration, and cost reduction. Building on these accomplishments, OHIT's goal for 2026 focus on advancing key initiatives that strengthen health IT infrastructure, expanding access, and supporting long-term sustainability. OHIT goals and projects include advocate for HDU legislation to support a modern, secure health system, expand PHIT4 VI training with Howard University to address IT workforce gaps, advance the accountable healthcare infrastructure blueprint, which will be implement a unified EHR system across hospital, connect agencies and providers to the HIE, establish telehealth nodes to expand access, and deploy cross-agency care management tools. OHIT remains committed to transforming the territory's health system through technology, making care more connected, accessible, and effective to all. ADA, Americans with Disability Act. The Office of the Territorial Americans with Disability Act coordinator ensures equal access for all Virgin Islanders and visitors by promoting inclusive practices and recognizing the diverse need of individuals with disabilities. Our mission is to advance accessibility. Our vision is to empower people through education, awareness, and advocacy. ADA core functions. The office provides daily guidance to residents, business, agencies on accommodation, legal rights, and ADA compliance. Core duties include handling inquiries, conducting site visits and evaluation, delivering training, and coordinating interagencies efforts. The office also responds to federal updates and lead accessibility initiative across government. ADA recent achievement include development of a GVI employee accommodation form, ADA parking placard, and deaf and hard to hearing visor card. Free disability IDs through the Bureau of Motor Vehicle. Expand of the Accessible Beaches Initiative at Megan's Bay, Smith Bay, and Kramer's Park. ADA upgrades at Limburg Bay and other public spaces. 508 training with FEMA, Peace Officer ADA training, and annual ADA Expo. Launch of a centralized ADA webpage and successful ADA 35th anniversary celebration held on Wednesday, July 15th on St. Thomas, and on Thursday, July 17th on St. Croix. ADA ongoing projects. Weekly site visit and calls with DPNR, DOH, DSPR, and others. ADA 508 training for PIOs, IT staff, and ADA coordinators, and training for new taxi drivers, sensitivity session for public-private sectors. ADA FYI 26 goals and projects. Digital accessibility training for government web developers, specialized training for ADA coordinators and contractors, and parking compliance guidelines and enforcement in collaboration with DPNR. As demand increase and potential federal cuts to disability programs loom. The office plays a critical and crucial role in maintaining accessibility throughout the territory. Its efforts are key to advancing a barrier-free USVI where all individuals can live, work, and thrive. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, as we conclude our fiscal year 2026 budget presentation, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the heart of this office, the individuals whose steadfast dedication, quiet sacrifices, and daily commitment to public service makes all of our progress possible. This past year, we experienced moments of great loss with our government house family. In 2025, we said goodbye to Miss Linda Joseph, our cherished receptionist who answered every call with patience, poise, and grace. Her absence is deeply felt, and her memory continues to resonate in the way we serve our community. In 2024, we also lost Mr. Jean Lee Cruz, our dedicated executive security officer. Jean Lee was not just a protector of the office. He was a loyal, confident, a courageous professional, and a respected colleague. His dedication to the safety of our leadership and staff embodied quiet strength and integrity, and his legacy remains part of the very fabric of our team. We also celebrate the distinguished retirement of two longtime employees whose career leave an indelible legacy of service, Mr. Bernard Benny Gibbs and Mr. Mario Rodriguez. Together represent decades of institutional knowledge, dependability, and pride in public service. Their contribution have helped shape the culture and continuity of this administration, and we extend our deepest gratitude for their years of service and mentorship. Amid these transitions, we also lift up and celebrate excellence within our team. We proudly recognize our employees of the year for their outstanding contribution and extraordinary performance. Mr. Sylvester Warner represents the St. Thomas St. John District, whose professionalism and attention to detail reflect the highest standard of the office. Ms. Jacqueline Davis from St. Croix District, whose leadership, dedication, and initiative continue to move the mission of our office forward with purpose and passion. These achievements are a testament to the caliber of individuals who serve the people of the Virgin Islands with distinction each and every day. As we look ahead to fiscal year 2026, we remain steadfast in our mission to preserve the dignity of government, strengthen our infrastructure, and uplift our people. Projects such as mold remediation, critical AC repairs, and FEMA-funded improvements are already in motion and reflect our resolve to maintain safe, resilient, and functional government facilities. The Office of the Governor stands not just as a seat of executive authority, but as a symbol of stability, stewardship, and service. With this budget, we continue our commitment to honoring the past, responding to the needs of the present, and preparing boldly for the future. On behalf of our entire team, I thank you for your continued partnership and your thoughtful consideration of this budget request. We are ready to respond to your questions and look forward to working together to build a stronger, more inclusive territory.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin Rodriguez, Deputy Chief of Staff of the Office of the Governor. I too want to join in commending your Employees of the Year, Mr. Sylvester Warner and Ms. Jacqueline Davis, and commend them for their above and beyond contribution to government service and public service on the whole. Have you received all of your allotments for 2025 thus far?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Have there been any reduction in any of that allotment?
I would yield to our business director.
Senator Joycelyn Durant, we have not received any reduction.
No reductions. What about have you received any federal funds to help to subsidize any of the divisions that fall under the Office of the Governor?
No. There are two federal funds that are managed to OMB, right, but not directly to the Office of the Governor.
Good. Vendors payment, how are you in your vendors payment? How much do you owe?
We're doing pretty good. I am proud to say that the director of our business office is very diligent in ensuring that we're up to date with our vendors payment.
So is it your testimony that all of your vendors payment at this point is within the 30 days cycle?
Correct, yes.
Very well. What is your vacancy challenges? I see that you have a number of vacancies. What are the challenges in filling these positions?
Well, we did have a vacancy challenge with our Vivis. We did identify a person to hold that position. However, that person declined the position, and now I'm happy to announce that we do have someone that we've selected to do our Vivis. So I'm happy for that.
Any other areas? You have several vacancies within your shop.
And Ms. Durant will tell you about the 6 vacancies that we have within our shop.
Durant speaking. Yes, we have 6 vacancies. We actually have 6 positions that are coming on board within the next few weeks or before the end of this fiscal year. So we are diligently working and trying to fill most of our vacancies.
So they're coming into the fourth quarter?
Yes.
They'll be about on in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And we're hopeful to fill the balance in short order.
All right. What about all of the storm damages under the facilities for the governor's office? Have those been completed?
No. We're diligently working on and repairing. We know we had some air condition issues, and so we're changing from regular air condition to a dry vac, which would help
Which facility
reduce the mold remediation.
Which
That would
facility?
be on St. Croix.
Which facility?
Our government house St. Croix.
Government House in Corey.
Yes.
All right. What about your project center office?
Yes, we do have, and Ms. Durant can give you the cost. We do have the cost for the federal Ms. Durant, I'll let you present.
We did receive some federal funding for the Frederick State office, the Arthur Abel complex, and for some renovations at the Christian Stead, but those are still under FEMA review. That's $2.4 million.
Okay. What about the St. Thomas Government House and any other facility that comes under the governor's office in St. Thomas?
Yes, we have identified a vendor through the bid process for the St. Thomas Simmons building, that's the old business office, and for the legal counsel building, and that's $2.09 million. And that contract is currently at property and procurement for development.
The battery on St. John?
The battery on St. John, we had minor repairs that We did complete this year. As far as major capital improvement, we have not done any major repairs on St. John.
Okay. At this time, I'll open up the floor to my colleagues, and then I'll come back. Senator Viale, you recognize for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and again, good afternoon to the people of the Virgin Islands. And Mr. Rodriguez, on page 8 of your testimony, you said these personnel costs are for 80 full-time filled positions and 16 vacant positions funded at 50%. You're filling 6 of those positions now.
Yes.
So in your budget, are those 6 positions represented as 100% in the budget that you submitted?
Yes.
Yes.
So why did you make the statement that the positions are funded at 50%?
The remaining positions are funded at 50%, but I yield to Ms. Durant, and she can.
Okay, just the logic though. If
Yes.
if it's 50%, that means it's half of the fiscal year.
Yeah, so
if your intention is to fill the positions by October 1st, then all the positions need to be funded at 100%. Ms. Durant?
Senator, we do have 10 positions that are budgeted, and they are at 100%. 6 positions we do have, we currently working on onboarding the individuals, and the other 4 we're working to get them.
I'm not worried about the onboarding process, I'm worried about what's in the budget. What is the funding level in the budget? If you have 6 positions in the budget of 50%, then you're saying that those individuals are not coming out until the end of March.
Those 6 positions, yes, March of next year.
Okay, and the 10 positions?
And the 10 positions are
100%?
Yes.
Okay, so then the testimony needed to be switched a bit. You're asking for $1 million increase in your overall budget?
Yes, Senator.
What's the justification?
The justification is that we added 2 additional positions over last year, approximately $100,000. We had some vacancies that were filled during this year.
1 minute, 2 positions in which department?
Those 2 positions, the Office of the Governor.
Okay, and what's the amount?
One was 55,000 and the other one was 45.
Okay, and they were added this fiscal year?
They were added this year.
And you are able to accommodate those positions with the budget that you presently have?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, so I'm asking for the increase. If you're able to accommodate it with the budget you have, then why is there an increase for next year for those same 2 positions?
We did have some vacancies that was filled at higher salaries, and we also had some promotions in-house.
Okay, so those vacancies that are filled at higher salaries, those salaries are going into effect for next fiscal year, or they're in effect now?
They're in effect now.
Okay, so I'm going back to that. If your present budget that you have, which is 13 million, 12,166, is that your present budget?
For 2025?
Yeah, for FY25.
Yes.
Okay. If you added these positions in FY25 and your present budget is able to sustain those positions, then you have to have a next justification for the $1 million. The period, if they came out for 75% of the time, then we know you have to put in 25% more for FY26. But if they're being accommodated right now in your present budget, then you need to be able to break out exactly what the $1 million increase is for. Because right now, with a smaller budget, with a 13 million, you're able to maintain the increase, you're able to hire those individuals. So the $1 million got to represent something. How does the million add up?
We had 7 positions became vacant this year with resignations, 2 retirements, and so we had some vacancy savings with those positions.
To add to my argument, those are funded positions, but I'm sure my minority colleague is going to drill down a bit more on that. In reference
1
to
minute.
That's what I was hoping to happen. Officer Gun Violence, Survivor Engagement Specialist. What are the qualifications for that position?
The survivor engagement specialist person has.
Please give your name.
I'm sorry, Antonio Emanuel, the executive director of gun violence prevention. The survivor engagement specialist specializes in dealing with grief.
No. I'm not asking what they specialize in. What are the qualifications for somebody who wants that position?
They have to have. They have to have the ability to deal with people that are dealing with grief. The current survivor engagement specialist, both of them on both islands, are grief specialists.
What I'm looking for, that person has a counseling degree, psychology. Anybody can't hold that type of position. Matter of fact, I see the position as one that needs to be under human services, that's able to provide all of the surrounding services. But it can't be anyone that's going to be a survivor engagement specialist. They have to be somebody that is trained, that has the requisite education to provide those type of skills. So in the job spec, do you have clear qualification or requirements for somebody that is going to hold a position?
In the job specs, there's no degree that you have to have, but both of my people that are in that position have degrees, and they're certified in grief specialists. So to answer your question, I probably should review the job spec.
These are new positions that I'm seeing in the budget.
No, these aren't new. These were in the original legislation that you all agreed on.
New funded positions in the FY26 budget. Ms. Durant?
No, those are not new positions.
Look on page 14 of the post-audit report, and I'll come to post-audit. Page 14, survivor engagement specialist, new. You're saying that you have individuals in those positions right now?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. That's an error.
That's an error?
Yes.
So in your office, how many individuals do you have?
We have two survivor engagement specialists, 2 violence interrupters, 1 community outreach person, and a I guess our administrative assistant.
So you have 8 individuals in the office? 7. And what is the degree background of the survivor engagement specialist?
Why is it a degree?
What is the degree that those individuals hold?
What do you hold? Business management, a doctorate in theology. And I don't know, I'm not sure the degree Mr. Skeppel has, but I'm sure he has a degree, probably in theology as well. Both of my survivor engagements are active pastors and ministers.
Yeah, but we're not running a church. I was asking in terms of engagement specialists and having the requisite background in counseling or psychology in order to hold those positions. I mean, you're saying business administration to be a survivor engagement specialist, but I would yield and come back. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Senator Viola, you wanted to further discuss the qualifications, or you're good on what you provided so far?
Move on.
Okay. At this time, the chair will recognize Senator Hubert Frederick. You're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. A pleasant good afternoon, listening and viewing audience, colleagues, my staff, central staff, and testifiers. Mr. Rodriguez, good to see you again.
Same here.
Just curious about some of the activities that was budgeted, like the governor's event for spending. I see $460 budgeted. Miscellaneous special events. What's that about? I said something about a children's parade. That's over or under what we typically budget for activities like this. while you're looking for that, my next question would be in reference to credit card charges. Our post audit shows $304,437.23 in finance charges for credit card fees. Why are these so high? I'm just curious.
Senator Durant speaking. That is the total cost for all the credit cards at the Office of the Governor. What happened is finance have lumped all credit card use under one object code, and so it looks like a lot, but it's spent over whether supplies or whatever travel expenses or whatever the traveler, the cardholder used it for, office supplies. But all the expenses are lumped into one object code.
Do you reconcile those accounts?
Yes, Senator.
How often?
Every month.
Okay. All right. Any luck on that yet, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, you mentioned the governor's reading challenge.
Correct.
Yes, that is $75,000.
Okay. And what about the reading challenge and what else is in there? Christmas.
The governor's children Christmas event.
So how are we over or under here from the prior year?
We work within our means, and also to augment that, we also raise money for the governor's Christmas children event.
All right. So let's talk about your DC office. You're paying a lease of what, $70,700 every year? Is that how many people occupy that office space?
There's one person, but it's also occupied when we have staff travel to DC.
Okay. Well, I assume that's the best we could do in DC.
Well, Senator, I just want to bring some clarity to that. That office is in the governor's role, where every state has an office within that establishment. So it's not that we can go outside and we just have to have it right there in the governor's role, where we have 51 and the territories located.
Let's talk about training and travel costs. You got $369,500 compared to your prior year. Where are we with that this 2026 year?
I would yield to Ms. Durant.
Okay, in the testimony, you're talking about a testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, $369,500. That's
1 minute.
For off-island travel for the governor and his security staff. We have budgeted at $203,200. And bulk ticket for inter-island travels is we're requesting $80,500, and cash advances for those travelers $50,800. That totals the $369,500.
Okay. In terms of the repayment of the salary that the governor was paid recently, was that reimbursed? Is that reflected in the next?
Senator, as the governor indicated publicly that he has reversed his salary increase, we have put in a request to Finance Department to provide us with a calculation of those deductions, and then once we receive those calculations, then we would then effectuate the deduction on every payment.
All right.
Time.
Thank you very much for the time, Mr. Chair. That was quick. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Frederick. Before we go on to the next senator, which will be Senator Anga Bolquez, I wanted to ask you, I guess the Director of Administrative Services, what is your projected vacancy savings in FY 2025? Any idea?
Yes. Our current savings is in excess of $500,000.
In excess of $500,000. And that's mostly all of, okay, yeah. That is inclusive of fringe as well, or not?
Yes, including fringe.
Including fringe. Okay, all right. Thank you. Senator Angel Balquez, you recognized for your, he's not there. Senator Maurice James, you recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, testifiers. Good afternoon, colleagues, staff, everyone in and outside of the room. I want to start by following up on the questions that my colleague had about the survivor victim specialists. How many survivors have been, I guess the word isn't treated, have been counseled by over the years that this position has been in effect?
Almost 90% of victims that have been involved in a shooting have been engaged with our survivor engagement specialists.
Okay, listen to the question. I'm going to make my questions really, really tight nowadays because I'm noticing I'm hearing vague answers like soon and sooner and 90%. How many means a number of victims have been served by the survivor victim specialists? The number of survivors have been, not 90% of, 90% is not an answer, I'm sorry. So maybe you can look that number up.
We had 23 homicides this year so far. We've served 20.
So when you, okay, I don't really want to do this, but I'm gonna have to do it. You said you had 23 homicides?
23 homicides, yes.
And 20 survivors. So when you are, this is so difficult for me today. The survivors include whom? Spouses, family members, immediate family members. Who do you try to reach in terms of the survivor of a victim? Do you try to expand to beyond the immediate family members, or is it spouse? Is it children? I'm just trying to get an idea of the people you serve. That's what I'm trying to do.
Anybody directly related to the victim, also members of the neighborhood where it occurred, co-workers, friends. We try to extend if there's like an incident in a major housing community, we follow up with other with follow-ups to the entire housing community.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking too, because if, for example, if it is a workplace, do you coordinate then, or if it's a school, do you coordinate with in terms of a workplace, let's say human services or the school counselors?
Right.
I'm just trying to.
For example, we had a shooting. For example, we had an incident at Woodson Middle School. And we went to the school, we coordinated with Human Services and the Health Department, offering and connecting them with counseling, staff counseling, student counseling, parents counseling, anybody that was even vicariously affected by that event.
Okay, so in terms of your records, which is confidential, of course, when you say 20, you meant that they were specifically assisted by your specialist, correct?
That family, the surviving families, yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be clear exactly on what was happening in that space. With regards to the leases, the governor's leases, for the property on St. Croix, Zephos Enterprises office space, how many employees are occupying that space?
We have a total of around 12 employees.
12 employees from the Office of the Governor.
Yes. And then we also use that facility if personnel travel from St. Thomas doing business in Frederick said they will utilize that office also.
Okay, and with respect to the Office of the Governor's DC office space, is that you said there's only one full-time employee in that office?
That is correct.
Okay.
Senator.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions, and I know that this is making it a little light today. I know that the chair can't ask about a succession plan. Thank you. Bye.
Of course I can. Of course I can. So
That's a good one.
That's my cousin now. Real quickly before we go to the point, I see in your testimony you spoke about the commissioning of the portrait for Governor John P.D. Young, but which, by the way, I think is long overdue. But is the funding that you have available, because you spoke about also doing the same for former Governor Kenneth E. Mapp, is the funding sufficient to support both of these portraits?
Senator, the funding may be sufficient, but we know with costs and because there's going to be new portrait, we have not yet negotiated that cost for Governor Mapp.
Nice.
So I'm definitely, I would say that it would probably be a little higher.
So this amount will have to be amended at some point.
Yeah, but I think we could work within our means to try to make sure that we have sufficient money to cover that portrait.
Yeah, that's why I'm not even mentioning the amount, because obviously I guess you're still negotiating the amount. So
yes.
Yeah. All right. I just thought it was a little low, especially to do two of them.
No, well, the first one is the amount, but we have to negotiate the second one with oil and costs. We are waiting a proposal for the second portrait.
Okay, understood. Senator Frederick, you recognize for your point of information.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rodriguez, in reference to the utility, I know you guys are part of the single payer program too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's a variance of $66,328 with the post audit versus your numbers. Can you explain that variance for us, please?
Durant speaking. Senator, while reviewing the post-audit report, I realized that $66,328 is actually the capital outlay cost for the Office of Gun Violence. It was just misplaced in the wrong section.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the clarification.
Thank you very much, Senator Hubert Frederick. We will recognize Senator Dwayne DeGraff. You recognize for your 5 minutes of this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, testifiers. How many employees do you have in the Office of the Governor?
Durant speaking. Do you want it broken down by island? Sir?
No, just give me a total number.
We have, for the Office of the Governor, 69 employees.
69. So,
and we have 7 in the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and 4 employees in the office in the Bureau of Economic Research.
okay. Okay, can I have the, how many employees do you have under 35,000?
Senator, we have 4 employees.
4. How many vacancies you have total, you said?
6. We have a total of 16, and we're going to be filling 6 in the short order.
16 from the Office of the Governor alone, or to include the other 2 offices?
Yes, included divisions.
Okay. So how many in Officer Gun Violence vacancies?
One.
How many in BR?
BR, 2.
Okay, how many vacancies under 35,000?
4, Senator.
4 vacancies
No
under
vacancies.
35,000.
No. You mean employees under 35,000? 4 employees.
I got that.
We have 4 employees.
But some of you, the vacancies, of the 16 vacancies, how many are under 35,000?
Oh, no, we don't have
You
any vacancies under 35,000.
Zero. Has anyone received wage increases in 25 this year?
No.
But where my colleague mentioned, Ms. Duran said that.
We did, Senator Duran speaking, we did have 5 employees that was promoted into a different position, so they got an increase with that.
Oh, okay. No,
Yes.
but it had
No increases outside of that.
You have GS employees?
No. All exempt employees.
All exempt, right? Okay, so no one received wage increases.
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, and for those 5 who were promoted, are they owed any retro?
No, Senator.
No. Okay. Now, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, you have 1 vacancy, 7 employees. Okay, I would like to get your actuals in terms of expenditures for you, BR, and the Office of the Governor. I'd like to get the expenditures for personnel fringe. You probably just have to, any utilities and all of that, so go get them. Or Ms. Duran, will you be able to give me everyone's own?
I will be able to give you everyone. Actually, it was provided.
Okay, but I want the actual as of, what's the latest you have?
June 30th.
Okay, so only up to June 30th you have. Now, from you look at post-audit report, page 6 it is, where we have the funding flow. I just say as of June 30th, 2025, the office allotment to date is $9,368,755, correct?
The actual amount is $9,835,851.78.
So that's why I need to get the updated, because I'm going based on what the post-audit report has. So what you say the correct numbers are?
$9,835,851.70.
Okay, and
1 minute.
What is the unallotted balance presently?
2 months of the 13 million.
If you have by June, you have the 9.
We have 10 months allotment released and 2 months to go.
Right.
August and September.
So I want you to tell me it, because I want to do my calculation.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't write out that amount.
Okay. So
30
so I will
seconds.
just subtract the 9 from the 13
Yes.
is what you say. Okay. So in order, I'm trying to figure out what is your ask for 2026? What are you asking for total?
For fiscal year 2026, to include the miscellaneous and the tourism revolving fund, we're asking for $14,387,494.
So that's an increase of, I could say, $1 million plus.
Yes, Senator.
So in $1 million plus, does it cover personnel fringe?
Yes, Senator.
Okay, so that's the breakdown I'd like to get. Through the chair,
Okay.
the $1 million that you're asking for,
Okay.
we could get that breakdown of all the section, personnel fringe. And in closing, if I may, Mr. Chair, the other services and charges, what do you have for that current?
Other services and charges, we're asking for,
No, I mean your actuals. Go back to your actuals. Like I say, the number you gave me went higher, so I need to get your actuals just in closing up. So for personnel, actuals, fringe, supplies, other services and charges. Personnel actuals.
Okay. For the Office of the Governor, the actual for other services and charges was $1,535,003.02.
Okay.
For personnel services, $3,526,678.04. For fringe, $1,488,567.10. For supplies, $345,458.59. And the funding for utilities were transferred over to the single payer.
Right. So what are you averaging for utilities a month?
Roughly $37,000.
And that's to cover your office, BR, and
The territory-wide. BR,
37K.
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. And those actuals is of what date?
As of June 30th.
Still June 30th.
Yes.
Because the amount, there was a discrepancy in the amount based on the post audit was 9.3, and you said it was actually 9.835.
That's correct.
Okay. And that is of June 30th.
Yes.
Thank you. And who's responsible for overseeing the utility bills and ensuring and reconciling to make sure that you're getting what you pay for?
The bills are forwarded to the Department of Finance, and they make the payments directly to the utility. The Office of the Governor, once we get copies of the bill, we just make sure that all our accounts are up to date.
So the bills are not, you reconcile them within the office before they're sent forward to OMB for payment?
I don't know how they receive the billings, but they once the billings are sent to them, then they make the payments.
Then they make the payments?
Yes.
Okay. What about your key performance indicators? Who's tracking your key performance indicators?
We don't have.
Deputy Commissioner, you don't have any?
We do not have any
You don't have any
KPIs.
you know, setting any goals for the various divisions and about making sure that you're tracking those?
Yes, each division set their own goals, and they track them individually.
So what's the goal for Office of Gun Violence, for example?
Tony Emanuel speaking. My goals would be to have 100% response.
The written goals. What's your written goals?
Written goals. Well, one is to have full response to victims of crimes. Next is to increase our availability in schools during the leadership program, the after-school program, and our after-school projects that we're working in the housing communities. I also want us to increase our community engagement, increase our PSAs, public service announcements, and messages of anti-violence and anti-bullying.
What is two of the goals for the Bureau of Economic Research?
Halden Davies, Director, Bureau of Economic Research. If I should mention just two, upgrade the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy.
Get closer to the mic, please.
Upgrade the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And secondly, facilitate staff development in economics and forecasting tools.
How are you doing with those goals?
We are progressing very well, and we have made significant progress thus far.
What does that mean?
That means that each of our goals within the BR have timelines attached to them. And we are progressing.
So you have key performance indicators to support that goal?
Correct.
All right. And you're checking the box and making sure that you're meeting those objectives?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Point of information, Senator Fonseca.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to follow up on that with the Bureau of Economic Research. Okay, with your goals, page 15, conduct a study on GVI territorial health insurance. Give me some more details on that.
Again, Haldane Davies, Director, Bureau of Economic Research. Within the context of the study that we propose here is to look at what applies in some other states where insurance is provided for everyone, whether they are in the public sector, the private sector, they are uninsured or on their own. So our goal here is to check the feasibility of having territorial health insurance in the United States Virgin Islands and to ensure that that study is carried out.
So that's similar to what the governor is calling the legislature into special session for, right?
No, that is different.
How is that different?
No, what you're being called, what you refer to, Senator, is a matter of the existing public insurance plan for the government, taking a different approach, whether it's full insurance or whether it is self-insurance. That's different because it's just related to the public, government insurance and agencies. But when we look at territorial health insurance, we're looking at everyone across the board, public as well as private, and the feasibility of such a thing for the territory.
Well, Sir Popa, I ain't sure I understand that, but thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Do you need some further clarification or?
Yes, because if it's territorial government of the Virgin Islands, territorial health insurance, it means government of the Virgin Islands territorial health insurance. And that's what Cigna provides. It provides territorial health insurance to the government of the Virgin Islands. So I don't understand the difference. But help me out. I only have a master's degree, but I'm not a PhD.
No, I think that the word territorial may need some clarification here, Senator. Within the context, thank you. Within the context, we're talking about covering the entire territory as a whole with respect to public insurance, not just the government. The current insurance that the government has, that is what you referred to earlier. But within this context, we're looking at going full territory-wide to include everybody and the feasibility of such a thing for us. Right, private sector, public sector, everybody.
Okay, but it still says GVI, so you're adding another word there to include the whole territory, because it does says GVI. But thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you very much, Senator Fonseca. Senator Viela, your point of information?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it'll be cleared up if you just strike GVI, because GVI means government of the Virgin Islands. So then that's applicable to government of the Virgin Islands and not the whole territory.
Right.
So the GVI needs to be struck and it needs to just say territorial health insurance viability. But I wanted to ask you, Mr. Davies, you did a living wage study?
The Bureau did a living wage study, yes, in 2022,
and it was
2023.
And it was completed when?
In 2023.
Okay, I had an opportunity to look at your living wage study. And you have a chart in reference to the living wage for one adult and one child.
Right.
And the amount that you have that it would be the living wage for one adult and one child is $20.95 per hour for the household, or $43,576 per year.
Correct.
That's included. So I only put it out on the record so when the argument begins as to why we raised the minimum salary to $35,000, it is right there in BR study. But you come in with a justification that the legislature didn't do their job and didn't do this and didn't do that. And the documentation is there and the office of the governor that we are woefully underpaying individuals in this government, and the salary should be $42,000 for one adult and a child. And they said to include insurance. If it's not insurance, you did it two ways. Then it's even more. Okay, so I just want that the data exists. This body didn't do anything in isolation. No, the data is there. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Viola. The position that's listed, Mr. Rent, under $35,000. What's the classification? What's the position title for those?
Those position titles are housekeepers, executive housekeepers, and attendants.
As well as I see you have a lead maintenance worker as well?
That salary exceeds $35,000.
Maintenance technician?
That salary exceeded $35,000.
Okay. All right. Senator College Joseph, you're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Pleasant good afternoon to the executive staff of the Office of the Governor. How are you doing today?
Great.
Good. It's good to see all of you here. I wanted to ask some questions relative to your staffing. And specifically, I wanted to ask, you have an executive officer staff, executive security staff. How are they being treated? Are they also receiving any incremental increases? I don't know if the gentleman to my left asked that question, because he normally asks questions relative to that. Have they received any incremental raises as well?
Durant speaking, no, Senator.
What is their salary base? Because you have some officers and the like, because everybody's getting increases. When was their last increase, actually?
I believe that was in 2023, Senator.
So you're not considering any increases for your executive chauffeurs, your executive officer staff or security staff?
That is in discussion, so.
It's in discussion. Okay. But do you have it budgeted? That's my main question. Do you have it budgeted for fiscal year 2026?
We're hopeful that we can.
Okay, well, I hope you appreciate them. Is there, and I may have missed this because the gentleman from Savan normally asks these questions. Are you looking at any increases for your team? Outside of what the other increases, are you looking for any increases?
Not at this moment, Senator.
No one, okay. I wanted to focus a little bit on your miscellaneous items, the very festivals and the like. And if this question was answered before, because I had to step out to a very important event, the Hotel and Tourism Association, their Summer Youth Employment Program Attendees Appreciation Award, and that's why I was missing a little bit. But I wanted to ask you, for those items listed, and I'm going to go to, what page was it? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to page 6 of the post-audit report, and also page 7. I see that there was some $10,000 that's recommended and $100 for the VI Puerto Rico Friendship Day in 2024. $100,000 was expended for 2024, but I'm looking at the 2025 expenditure for both days for St. Thomas and St. Croix activity, and we only had a total of 65,000. And then for fiscal year 2026, you're recommending 100,000 for the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico Friendship Day in St. Croix, and 15,000 in St. Thomas. I know certainly the St. Croix events are much more extravagant and extensive, but I wanted to understand what was the difference. Why did you have this 50,000 difference between fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026 for St. Croix for the $50,000?
Senator, the rise in the increase for the VIPR Friendship Day in St. Croix, it has become very popular. And so the costs associated with having a performance travel, that is the reason why the increase.
So you're
is
paying
also
for the performance. Does the association do any type of fundraising as well? Is there like a car share?
I believe they do fundraising, but you know it's very difficult to fundraise these days. So I'm not certain how much money they fundraise, but I can get that to you,
Okay,
Senator.
that would be very important in our deliberation. Now, I wanted to also, and if this question was asked, because we had a differential variance
30
for
seconds.
other services and charges on the same page 7, and it looks like you had an increase of $233, $233,000 and $431. Tell me exactly 233,431. Tell me exactly what caused that increase. Why you're increasing in that line
Time.
item, Mr. Chairman? Are you seeing it, Ms. Durant?
No, Senator.
Yeah. Okay. Page 7.
Oh, page 7.
Look at other services and charges. Okay. For fiscal year 2025, you had $2,412,890. And now for fiscal year 2026, you're having $2,179,459, which produces an increase of $233,431. What is causing that?
Senator Durant speaking. The reduction was due to we reduce the cost for professional services contracts.
I don't know if that's a reduction.
It is a reduction.
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. Okay, so the reduction was caused by what?
A reduction in our professional services.
In your professional services.
Yes.
What specific professional service did you eliminate?
I can get that information to you through the chair if you would like.
Yes,
I don't have
through the
that
chair.
today.
I know my time has expired. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Thank you very much, Senator Joseph. Senator Blyden, you recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon again to my colleagues, and good afternoon to Mr. Rodriguez and your team there with you, and thank you so much for your testimony. Senior moment. Listen, let me ask you, in respect to the post-out report, Office of Gun Violence. Let me go there quickly. How much have you expended to date from your budget? I know you requested $225,000. How much have you expended to date?
Durant speaking. Expended to date, we have actual expenditures of $54,123.80, and we have some encumbrances, payments that are in process of $23,143.
So, compared to last fiscal year during that time frame, how much was expended in that time frame? 54 and 23?
I don't have last year's numbers. I could get that to you through the chair.
The reason why I'm asking that
Comparison.
because I was wondering on what you're asking for the same exact amount for next fiscal year. So I was trying to see exactly where you're going to land at and how much you expended last fiscal year, as a matter of fact.
Total expenditures for 2024 was $229,838.
So you did go over the 225 mark.
Yes.
Okay, very well. Let me ask you, in respect to, I'm going to go to the ADA core function or ADA area because that's very important to me. I know what you provide is guidance to resident businesses and agencies on accommodations, legal rights, ADA compliance, etc. And your core duties are handling inquiries, conducting site evaluations, delivering training, and coordinating interagency efforts. So, Mr. Henley, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Senator.
Let's talk about our property, the government buildings, and entrances to those buildings. I know you do a lot in respect to education, etc., and what I spoke to, but what about our buildings here in the territory? What are you doing to work with the different departments and commissioners to assure that we are in compliance, number one, and number two, that you are able to do your job and your responsibilities within the government of the Virgin Islands? Can you speak to that for me, please?
Yes. Good afternoon, Senator.
And
Julian Henley.
and you're a team of one, correct?
Correct.
How, who, what, when, and why? Talk to me, please.
I have a lot of support from the Office of the Governor. So when needed, I have also, I work with DPNR as to doing inspections, working with information, because they deal with the ADA code. However, I deal with the ADA from a different aspect as far as a finished work and what to bring it into compliance. So once we're working together, that creates visual to making sure that all our offices are accessible.
And for instance, what's your mission or goal for the 26 budget season with the resources you have at this moment? What would you like to see differently moving forward?
Well, one of the things that we're going to be working on is the web content accessibility guidelines. That project is to bring all the websites in the government to be in compliance with the ADA.
Okay, very well. Thank you for that. Let me go back to the testimony. On page 6 of the testimony, it spoke to an additional $1,275,000. It requested for miscellaneous special activities and $300,000 request for tourism revolving fund. Miscellaneous, what's included in that category that you need a $1,275,000 for? That's the first question I have.
Durant speaking. The $1,275,000 we're asking for funding for government access channel for $150,000. The Puerto Rico VI Friendship Day territory-wide, $115,000. BVI Friendship, $75,000. Emancipation Day activities, $10,000. Health Information Technology, $400,000 for the exchange. Office of Gun Violence for operational expense, $225,000. And the Vivis program, $150,000. Expenses for annual activities, which include the Governor's Reading Challenge and other youth activities, $150,000.
Okay, with that being said, let me ask you, how is that being funded right now as we speak? That's the question I have
We
for
got
you.
the same amount in 2025.
You say you got the same amount, but you're saying that you're short $1.3 million. So you say
No,
you said you
we're
got
not
the same
short.
We can't speak at the same time. Let me finish and then you can respond. You said you got the same amount as last fiscal year, correct? But you're asking for $1.3 million more. So explain that for me. How are you funding it right now?
It was included in this year's budget also, Senator.
What's your
So
request?
we asked,
What's your request for next, for
30
for
seconds.
26? What's your request? How much are you asking for?
$14,387,494
Correct.
to include miscellaneous of $1,275,000 and $300,000 for tourism revolving.
Correct. And what was your ask for 25?
$13,378,494.
Exactly. That's why I asked you the question, because you're requesting 14 and you 25 is 13, which is 1 million plus more. So I'm asking you the extra $1.3 million. And you said well, it was 4. So I asked you, how did you fund those activities this time? And you said it was in the budget, right? But the budget was less. So that means you got the money from someplace else. The money is coming from elsewhere. Am I correct?
Yes, Senator.
Mr. Chair? Doing the markup, we're going to have to dig a little deeper and see exactly what's going on and how we can move forward. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for your responses.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Blyden. You care to expound, Ms. Durant?
For 2026, the Office of the Governor, we're asking for $11,464,196 for the Bureau of Economic Research, 703,092. For the Office of Gun Violence, $643,206. A total for General Fund, $12,812,494. We're asking, in addition to that, for $1,275,000 for miscellaneous items, and for the Tourism Revolving Fund, $300,000, for a total funding of $14,387,494.
And also be reminded that there is also an extraction of the monies for the utility that goes straight to the single payer.
That's correct, $514,000.
Correct. At this time, Senator Fonseca, you recognize for your 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you. And good afternoon to the Governor's Office team. Question, just for my knowledge, the other services is basically can be used for a lot of miscellaneous items, right?
Durant speaking. Yes, Senator.
Okay, good. Well, you know, I got an idea for you here. If you go in the back of Windward Passage Hotel, right, they got a sewage backup and an overflow that is, I think it's a combination of, well, we got testimonies, a combination of the old lateral lines that's collapsed, et cetera, et cetera. Would that be something that would qualify for other services to be to do a cleanup down there? We're not talking about changing the lines. We're just talking about taking some Clorox, going down there, hosing it up, and cleaning it off. Would that qualify as other services?
Well, not if it's relative to the Office of the Governor. I mean, that would be under waste management.
But is your St. Thomas administrator under the Office of the Governor?
Yes.
So those calls go to the St. Thomas administration. You see, the reason why I'm bringing it to your attention is because waste management been here 2 times in the last month, and they promise that they're going to take a look and they're going to coordinate and they're going to, you know, get an estimate and they're going to do everything. There's never been a date. Public Works is telling us right out it's not their job. So we have to go to the head because it is a public sanitary nightmare. It's really an emergency. Businesses have closed down. The hairdresser that was right there, she had to close down. All of us has been back there, so we're making a special appeal to the Governor's Office. Just clean it up. You see what I'm saying? Just clean it up. And since we got testimony, it would qualify for other services because waste management don't have no money. Even though we gave them $5 million in the latest round when we gave a 6.5 extra to the hospital, Waste Management is still telling us they don't have money, and it's even though they have 3-point-something billion in total disaster to replace the main lines, they don't have the money for the laterals. They're going to have to charge. Basically, it's been over a year. This place is smelling. It's been over a year. Please clean it up.
Senator, I want to bring some clarity to your statement, because as the acting administrator, I myself has visited that area.
Right.
We've educated the folks not to put rash rag down the lines, not to pour oil down the lines. And when we go and Waste Management clean it up, we go right back to that establishment. You open up the sewage line, and they have oil, they have rash rags. So, I mean, it's a compound situation whereby we also need to help educate those businesses around the area and the residents to help mitigate and reduce that problem.
Okay, and I understand that. However, the testimony before the legislature, it's been like that for a year and 2 months. That's the testimony. We got the testimony. So let me go to some quick budget questions. So the Bureau of Economic Research, no, let me go to the Office of Health Information Technology, Health Information Exchange first. There's any vacancies there?
Good afternoon, Senator. Michelle Francis, Director of Office of Health Information Technology. Yes, we have 2 vacancies.
2 vacancies. Okay, so this health information exchange, right? I've been to the training, and by the way, you do excellent work. Congratulations. But this information is needed so that we can improve the efficiency of treatment of patients. You can go to a doctor in St. Croix. Today, you go to a doctor in St. Thomas today, and they can pull up this information. So I'm surprised that I think it's $400,000. Is that what is needed to fully implement this health information exchange, or this is just a phase implementation?
Good question. Thank you. Again, Michelle Francis.
1 minute.
So the $400,000 was one based on what prior needs were. I work very closely with Medicaid in the Department of Human Services for federal funding. Most of these large transformation projects are funded through the feds. What we're facing now, which we all know, is a decrease in funding from the feds for many of these things. Medicaid's facing a decrease. So the local budget alone, no, will not be sufficient. We have sent legislation down, which I hope will be heard. We desperately need it heard so that we don't lose federal funding. That includes $300,000 in ARPA. We'll lose it by the end of this fiscal year, by the end of the calendar year of 25, if we don't stand up the health data utility. That governs the health information exchange, and we're also asking for $1 million a year through that legislation, because that's what it's going to cost to bring on the hospitals, the FQHCs, and private providers.
Okay, so see, I'm going to be your voice. I think more money needs to be put into this
30 seconds.
Health information exchange, because remember, this is patient data, confidential. We've done the rollout. The Commissioner of Health, the Commissioner of Human Services, the feds have been down here. The Medicaid program has received accolades. So we need to get this thing fully implemented. Mr. Chair, was time called? Okay, good. So one other question. I want to go back to the Bureau of Economic Research. So I looked on the website. The gross domestic product is, the last one is 2022. I know you've just come on, but why haven't we updated it? We can't have a gross domestic product 3 years old, because that's very, very important information. That's
Time.
the whole economy of the Virgin Islands. So when can you get an updated gross domestic product for 2023?
And the short answer, Senator, is we are putting in place the applicable mechanisms. We've had conversations with the Office of Insular Affairs that implemented the pause on the GDP being calculated by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And we are focusing our efforts in collaboration with them to ensure that we can get this going within short order. So right now we are focusing on putting together and bringing on the administrative data, additional administrative data that is needed. We have been in contact with various departments and agencies already, and additional communication will be going out so that that type of data could come in, and we will begin to get the GDP on stream again. We want to make sure, however, that it is consistent. The approach that we use is consistent with the approach taken over the last 20 years by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And that's what the conversations are around right now.
Well, Sir Popa, you see, I asked for a date when we can get the 2023 GDP, and I still haven't heard.
I would
time.
say, I would say that based on where we are right now, we should have our GDP up to date before the end of this calendar year.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you very much, Senator Fonseca. Any point of, you had a point, Senator DeGraff? You had a point? Senator College, those recognized for your point of information.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if this was covered already, but I was looking through some of the appendixes to your presentation, the appendix post-audit appendix, when it talks about all other services, NOC, and on page 28, it has for credit card annual finance charge. Is a huge jump from what was the actual for fiscal year 2024, which was $173,807.46 to what is the actual for fiscal year 2025 as of June 30th, which is now $304,437.23. What is causing that? Because it looks as though with this rate, you might be spending a bit about like $350,000 in credit card charges until the end of the fiscal year. So could you break that down for us and tell us what is the finance charge, how much you pay in finance charges, and what is the balance right now on your credit card?
Okay. Durant speaking. Senator, that amount, what happened is finance created one object code for all the credit card payments. So whether we're buying supplies or travel expenses, everything is lumped together. And those credit cards are reconciled monthly.
Okay, what is your current balance on the credit card? And at what rate is your finance charge?
The credit cards are paid off monthly. There's no finance charge.
Because you pay them off?
Because we pay them off monthly, yes.
Okay, so you don't have a running balance.
Right.
Okay, and how many credit cards do you have?
6.
6 credit cards. And who is the custodian of the 6 credit cards? Who are the custodians of the 6 credit cards?
We have the governor, the chief of staff, the deputy chief of staff, the director of business and administration, the director of executive security, and one special assistant to the governor, special project coordinator.
A special assistant and
special project coordinator, sorry.
Okay, special project coordinator. And what is the limit on, I guess each credit card has a different limit?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, and what's the various, the average limit? The lowest and the highest, let's go with that.
The highest is 60,000 and the lowest is 5,000.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Joseph. Senator DeGraff, you recognize your point of information and we'll come to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, Ms. Durant, I just wanted to address some numbers. The post-audit report, page 6 again. The numbers that they have are 9,368,755. You said that your allotment on June 30th was 9,835,851.70. There's a difference there of $467,096. I didn't see in the post-audit report. Could you tell me where more or less would that money be? You see what I'm saying?
Okay, that would include some miscellaneous items that have been released thus far for the year.
Oh, they were already budgeted in 8916?
They were already budgeted and they were released.
Okay, and then just in closing, the 13,567,494 is your 25 budget.
That's correct.
You divide that into 4 quarters, gonna give you 3,391,873. The balance of your 9,835,851 leaves you, excuse me, 3,731,643. With a remaining balance of 339,770.
Our allotment is done monthly by OMB, not quarterly.
Right, but still it's going to be by 4 quarters,
So
12 months, same amount.
So our remaining balance will be 1,967,170
1,009,000
for the fiscal year.
1,967,170.
170.
170. Okay. Okay, and I'll do the breakdown on that. But you had the money to cover for the individual you say you're bringing on?
That's correct, Senator.
You have it in the 25 budget, it's going to be in the 26?
2025.
Okay, for the 6 people you're talking about?
I'm sorry?
That the chief of staff was speaking of. You cover them. I know
yes.
you say in the future they bring it, so you have the money. Okay, just check it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Duran, if at some point, please update the post-audit with that information. The increase from 9.3 to 9,835,851.70.
Certainly.
The Senator Fonseca, you recognize for your point of information.
Thank you. Director Michelle Francis, is Medicaid covering any of the portion for the health information exchange, and also all the hospitals, the clinics, and all the private physicians are going to be on it?
Thank you for your question. Michelle Francis, Office of Health Information Technology. So Medicaid is the primary funder right now. Long term, we're going to need to find additional funds. My office secured $1.3 million in grant funding to help, because Medicaid has requirements about supporting the Medicaid enterprise, which means Medicaid patients and providers. So that means there are some private practices that Medicaid doesn't cover. Medicaid, we've requested through an IAPD, a planning document, to have 90% of the implementation covered. In FY24, they did cover 90%. We have already secured the technology for the health information exchange. Onboarding the hospitals and the FQHCs, very good question. The grants that my office has are gonna go towards paying for their fee, because there's a fee for every connection, but they're not fully covered through into perpetuity. So for FY24, 25, my office was able to cover them through grants. And there's some partial coverage for them through Medicaid. However, what's not covered is that 10% local match that's left to OHIT to help find. And right now, that number could change depending on which way the feds go, and so that number could increase and we could have a gap. And I think you'll hear more about that in DHS's hearing.
Depending on which way the Fed go, are there cuts in the new big beautiful bill?
There's been reductions. I can't speak, Director Gary Smith can speak directly to where we've been cut. Some things we've been spared from in terms of enhanced funding. He'll have to speak more specifically to that, but there is a risk. We're still waiting to hear back on the planning document that's in right now for the HIE.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Fonseca. Mr. Deputy Chief of Staff, in regards to your funding levels at this point, are you satisfied that you will be able to complete the remainder of the year and come in the black?
Yes, Senator.
Very well. Anything here about the budget that's challenging or present any concerns or issue at this point?
No, Senator.
Very well. I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap up.
Yes, Senator, I'd like to just take this opportunity on behalf of Governor Albert Bryan to take this opportunity to thank you for the opportunity to present our fiscal year 2026 budget. And I'd like to also acknowledge our hardworking employees at Government House who have done a really good job in providing the necessary service to the people of the Virgin Islands. There are three folks that we loaned from Department of Education. As mentioned, under the administrator's office, we have 2 staff members that are out and they're critically ill. But those 3 employees from education has filled the gap. And we're hopeful that we're able to continue with them in the next couple of months until our staff members return. But I want to thank this august body for an opportunity to present our 2026 budget.
Thank you very much for coming before us. Continue to wish our governor well, and we look forward to wrapping up this budget cycle at some point. Be able to get this budget up to Government House in a timely fashion. We're still awaiting the insurance that will help us to be able to advance and be prepared for the numbers during our markup. But we want to deliver this budget well in advance of the at least 30 days ahead, so that we can make sure that we're in place and we don't find ourselves in a quagmire October 1, so for the start of the new fiscal year. I want to thank my colleagues. I know it's been a tough week. I worked you guys hard this week. We had 4 days of budget hearings, 5 days of hearings, and I appreciate all of your hard work, commitment, and staying in the paint with me during that time, as well as my non-committee members. Thank you for being here. I want to thank Central staff as well. And, again, have a great weekend, everyone. The Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance is hereby adjourned. God bless.